Oh, yeah.
How about those Devils? How about those Devils?
Huh? What? What was that?
How about those Devils? How about those Devils?
How about those Devils? Oh, welcome back, Devils fans. It is your host, Ace, here on Running with the Devils, where we are talking New Jersey Devils hockey all year long. Please hit that subscribe button, smash the like, share with a friend. Thank you very much. And what a performance for the boys in Buffalo. Our beloved New Jersey Devils looking to win 3 in a row, building off of that beautiful victory over the Blues the other night at the Rock, on the road for a Black Friday special with the Sabres before returning back home for a bunch of games. And what do the boys do? Our New Jersey Devils get it done big. Get it done huge, crushing the Sabres by a score of 5-0. What a performance for Jake Allen. And whenever we get a goalie performance like that, the goalie helmet, the goalie mask is coming out. Jake Allen, an absolute wall in net for the Devils this afternoon. What a performance. And I've been riding the good luck of something else as well. So I'm gonna have to ditch that and bring back this guy. Because this thing has been, I'm gonna ride this thing for as long as we can. 3-game winning streak. Cheers to all of you. Cheers to the Devils. Win or lose, we booze. And I'm back to I got the strawberry one, the manliest version of the Surfside. Strawberry, lemonade, and vodka. Cheers to all of you. Win or lose, we booze. And as you all know, oh, those victory drinks taste so much better than loser beverages. And we are all sipping victory drinks tonight. What a win. What an absolutely beautiful win for this team. I am fired up. You love to see it. We've been well overdue for a stomping like this. We've all been clamoring for it. The New Jersey Devils' last 6 victories, the last 6 victories have been by 1 goal. A few of them coming in overtime or a shootout. Nail-biter victories. We have not been able to sit back in a third period and just enjoy the work of the boys in quite some time. And tonight, we were able to sit back and really enjoy this one because they came out and they absolutely smashed the Sabres. And without further ado, this hat's so ridiculous. I gave one of these to my nephews and they love it. We get to the goal scoring. And early on, Devils looking like a little sleepy early on. They didn't have a shot, I don't think, for a few minutes. Sabres were out shooting them early. But that all changed when Timo the Bullmeyer, I mean, what can we say about Timo, guys? For all of those that have been, talking smack, look at what this man has been doing these last couple of games, especially. What a great start for Timo, and he's just an absolute truck out there. Gets a little creative. He flings one in front, and at 12:07.
Pretty, and he lives in Jersey City, number 13, nicohischier.
Nicohischier continues the dominant tear, and we'll get to Nico's tear after we get through all the game stuff. But Nicohischier, the captain, putting the team on his back as of late after maybe hearing some of the background noise of people like, where's Nico been? Where's his scoring? Well, it's here, and it's here in a big way. Nico gets his 9th of the season, assisted by Timo at 12:07, gives the New Jersey Devils the 1-0 lead. That is how the first period would end. We obviously saw a beautiful scrap between Stefan Nason and Tage Thompson, the monster. And this was, I guess, retaliatory for a hit last February. Tage Thompson didn't forget it. He challenged Stefan Nason. Nason does not back down and takes on the much bigger man. Decent little scrap there. And the first period ends with the New Jersey Devils with a 1-0 lead. We get to the second. And Dawson Mercer has been quiet as of late. A lot of people asking where Dawson has been. He flings a puck in front, a pass that was supposed to be for Pally. And Pally kind of whiffs on it. And Grits is right there. No hesitation from Grits. He just fires it on net and in. What a beautiful shot from Grits. Had the wherewithal to get to the front of the net. I mean, what a play by Grits. Love this kid. Grits gets his 5th from Palat and Dawson Mercer at 7:45, giving our beloved New Jersey Devils the 2-0 lead after 2. And now I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, I don't know why. Some games with a 2-0 lead, I feel still uneasy. I don't know why, for some reason, in my head when I was watching this, despite the Sabres trying to shoot from everywhere and getting some shots, I just felt very confident that the Devils were going to win this one for some reason. And I don't always have that feeling, but in this one, for some reason, I just thought there's no way they were going to lose this one. We head to the third period, up 2-0. And at 1:39, my man Brendan Dillon, Dilly, you give Dilly that much time and space. Dilly's shot is super underrated, in my opinion. He has a cannon blast of his own. He doesn't get it off as, frequently as some other guys in the league, or like Dougie was back in the day when we were used to those Dougie bombs. But Dilly has an absolute cannon. And if you give him that much time and space to just wind up, you're going to pay. And Dilly lets a bomb go. For his third of the season at 1:39, gives the Devils a 3-0 lead, assisted by Connor Brown and Paul Cotter. Devils up 3-0, and then Cotter was like, I need one. And you guys know I love Paul Cotter. He's been snake bitten as of late. He's had a ton of chances. It just seemed like, for whatever reason, he couldn't finish and bury one. But on this one, Cotter did not miss. Comes in on the little breakaway with those silky mitts. Goes to the backhand after a couple dekes. Throws it upstairs, and Paul Cotter breaks through. Gets his second of the season, assisted by Connor Brown and Brendan Dillon. Gives the Devils the 4-0 lead. And at that point, there was never a question that this game was over. Only a matter of what the final score was going to be. And then later in the period, Grits, once again, a beautiful give-and-go play with Palat. Grits picks it up in the D zone, throws it to Palat, flies up the wing to the net. Pally gets it back to him, and he deposits it right into the back of the empty net. Grits is not going to miss on an opportunity like that. Picks up his 6th of the season, assisted by Palat. Gives the Devils the 5-0 lead. That is how the game would end. And the New Jersey Devils just absolutely thumping the Sabres. I mean, again, the last 6 wins were all 1-goal affairs. Nice to finally blow a team out. It really felt good. I'm not going to lie. Blowing them out the way we did felt divine. Long overdue. And I'm sure the boys enjoyed it as well. It's not every day you get to win games 5-0. We get to the game stats. Devils 23 shots on goal. Sabres with 42. And credit to Jake Allen. What a performance by Allen. A lot of these shots were from the outside, but they had a ton of in-tight chances as well. High danger shots. Jake the Snake was everywhere, and what a game for him. Devils 54.4% in the faceoff circle. Buffalo 45.6%. Devils go 0 for 1 on the power play. Sabres go 0 for 2 on the power play. Devils with 20 hits. The Sabres with 23 hits. Devils with 20 block shots. Let's go. Just sacrificing the body. 20 block shots to the Devils. 9 block shots to the Sabres. Devils with 17 giveaways. Sabres with 18 giveaways. The Devils with 7 takeaways. And the Sabres with 6 takeaways. And wow. 42 shots. Way too many. Obviously would like to see that number reduced drastically. But Jake the Snake, folks. Jake the Snake was an absolute wall. And we get to the 3 stars. Got to see the 3 stars, right? The 3rd star. Number 47 from our beloved New Jersey Devils, Paulie Cotter. Come on down. A goal and an assist for 2 points. We had a scare with Paulie. He went flying into the boards. Heavy crash. Really thought he was going to maybe miss some time. He was flying, and he crashed hard. Went down the tunnel. I don't even think he missed a shift. Came back shortly thereafter. What a warrior. Love Paul Cotter. Love to see him get that goal, and a big night for Paul Cotter. The 2nd star, number 81, also from our beloved New Jersey Devils, Arseny Gritsyuk with the 2-goal night, the first multi-goal game of his career. I believe we are going to see this kid have many multi-goal nights for years to come for the Devils. A star in the making. Absolutely love Grits. Can't wait to see how the rest of his rookie season unfolds. And the 1st star from the Devils, no mistake about it, number 34, Jake the Snake Allen, with how many shots do they have? 42. 42 saves on 42 shots. Jake Allen was perfect and was the Devils' best player by far. What a great performance for Jake Allen. I mean, what can we say, guys? This one was beautiful from top to bottom. We get to the player stats. I don't want to spend too much time on this. The captain with the big goal, 2 shots and a hit. Connor Brown, another 2-assist night. 1 shot and 3 blocks for Connor Brown. Pally, let's give it up for Pally. Finally. I mean, everyone was making fun of the lack of production, and obviously it's still nowhere near what we would like to see, especially at $6 million. But Pally, 2 assists for Palat on the evening with 2 blocks and a hit. Timo the Bull Meyer with the big assist on the Nico goal, 2 blocks and 4 hits for Timo. Paulie Cotter, goal and an assist, 2 shots, 2 hits. The Bratter, 2 shots. A little bit of a quiet night for the Bratter. Grits with 2 goals, 6 shots. 6 shots for Grits. And then Dawson Mercer with an assist, 3 shots, a block. And on D, what do we have for Dilly? What a game for Dilly. 1 goal and an assist, 2 shots, a block, and 2 hits. Come on down, Brendan Dillon, you absolute savage. Love Dilly. Dougie Hamilton, 2 shots, a block, 2 hits. Nemo with a shot, 2 blocks. Luke Hughes, 2 blocks. Siegs with 7 hits. Let's go. Siegs is embracing his inner animal, getting involved with a little bit of a scrum there. Love to see that from Siegs. And then obviously Jake Allen, just perfection on the evening. And then some of you might say, what was the deserve to win a meter? I know you guys like that. This one was a little bit shocking to me. I knew because we were outshot so handily that it likely was going to be in the Sabres' favor, but I didn't anticipate it being this much. But the deserve to win meter has the Sabres winning 79% of the time. Devils win 21.1% of the time after 1,000 game simulations. And if you look at the shots there, obviously there's a lot more blue dots on this chart because the Sabres had way more chances, and a lot of them in tight. If you look, you got them right in front of the net, all over the place, a ton in the circles, and the Devils shot chart much more sparse. But despite the deserve to win meter saying that the Sabres win the 79% of the time, our beloved New Jersey Devils capitalizing on their chances and winning a beautiful one on the road, and now must turn around quick. Get back to the Rock and continue to play dominantly on the home ice. 9-0-1 at the Rock. You'd love to see it. Home ice is huge, but deserve to win meter be damned. This was the night for your New Jersey Devils. Then a couple graphics I want to share before we dive into the comments here. We look at Nico. This is graphic courtesy of MSG Broadcast. The goal today, he's on a 4-game goal streak, 5 total goals. His career high is 5 games, so if he scores against Philly tomorrow, he would tie his career high streak. A 4-game point streak, 5 goals and 4 assists, career high 8. So keep an eye on that, but the captain is certainly heating up. You love to see it from Nico. Everyone's got to pitch in and step up while Jack Hughes is down, obviously. And then a couple little sub graphics on Nemo. OT goals by defensemen, single season leaders in New Jersey Devils history. And you see some interesting names on here. Scotty Niedermayer on here twice. But you see Niedermayer with 2, Johnny Oduya with 2, Andy Green, John Moore, Dougie Hamilton. And there's Nemo with 2. And then John Moore again with 3. And then Needs had 4 in one season. And so you see Nemo amongst Devils all-time defenseman single season leaders. How much higher on this list can Nemo go? Can he get another 1 or 2 to climb up on the list? We will see. But a beautiful kind of sub-story on the season is the emergence of simonnemec becoming an absolute stud for our beloved New Jersey Devils, and you love to see it. Nemo, what a guy. What a guy. And then when we look at defensemen age 21 or younger in NHL history, 2 OT goals in one season for kids. Nemo is on a list of only 6 guys. 6 guys. You see the list there, including former New Jersey Devil PK Subban, did it as a member of the Montreal Canadiens. You got Cam Fowler, Seabrook, Tyler Myers, and Sider of the Wings, but very minimal company there. A list of 6 players total. Defensemen age 21 or younger to score 2 OT goals in one season. Love to see it. Nemo is just, what can we say, guys? It's the season of Nemo. Okay, and now, without further ado, a lot of your favorite parts of the program, we dive in to the comments where I suspect most of the Doomers will be in their caves tonight, which any night the Doomers are in their caves is a great night. Let me scan here. Doug says Nico and Timo taking over. Absolutely love to see it. With Jack being down, we always talk about the big dogs got to be the big dogs. And Nico and Timo, what can we say, guys? They've been getting it done. They've been getting it done, and they're going to need to keep doing it while Jack Hughes is out for another 6 or 7 weeks. Big dogs got to be the big dogs, and they have been. I do think we saw a brief experiment where Nico and Timo were split up, but I think long-term, this line of Nico, Timo, and Bratter might stick. We'll see. When Jack comes back, there's going to be a lot of decisions to be made and a lot of get combinations to play with, but I do like how this line has looked. I definitely think as a tandem, Nico and Timo should be together forever. And I think Brat could be the third guy long-term. We'll see. When Jack comes back, Jack Mercer and Grits looked really good in that small sample size. But we'll see. It's nice to have options in the top 6, but it certainly seems like, the top 6 is pretty well set at the moment when fully healthy. We had a lot of question marks coming into the year. I do believe Mercer has proven himself as a legitimate top 6 guy, as Grits has done. A lot of people wanted, were proclaiming Grits to be a top 6, and they were right. I will give you guys full credit for that. I just said I need to see, him play some NHL games before I pencil him in there because, we've seen guys come from the KHL and thrive, and we've seen guys come from the KHL and suck, but he came, and much to the prediction that many of you guys made, he certainly is a top 6 guy. David Ryan, thank you for the super. Enjoying some Thanksgiving leftovers and watching the boys with a beautiful 5-0 shutout. And how about Jake the Snake with 42 saves? Thank you for the super, David. And what, Thanksgiving leftovers are phenomenal. I'm trying to stay away for the most part because my Thanksgiving probably was, I don't know, it was in the 5 figures, 10,000 calories plus easy. And so I'm trying to get back on track, but obviously the holiday is very difficult. But Jake the Snake, what can we say? Beautiful outing for him, but thank you very much. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. Obviously, I forgot to mention that in my excitement of this beautiful, beautiful New Jersey Devils win. Zach says, tomorrow night needs to be a throwback revenge game. I like throwback revenge games. We'd love to see our boys rack up some fighting majors. Ooh, fisticuffs, give me some. Hopefully they remember the embarrassing beatdown that they took at the hands of Philly in Philly, what was that, a week ago or whatever it was? An embarrassing kind of bottom of the barrel performance for the boys. And hopefully that is a driving factor for them to come out and get a huge win on home ice and maybe get a little physical get back as well. Delta, can I just say I'm loving Siegs out there just needling other teams and freaking eager to throw down and get in people's faces. Love it. Yeah, we're seeing a little more tenacious version of Siegs, and I certainly love to see it. I obviously think this team needs to get even a little nastier than we've seen, and we'll kind of see how that goes on that front. But it does seem like they do play better when they are physically engaged as a team going to war, and they're certainly going to need to embrace that when the playoffs come, and so I would love to see them embrace that now. In the regular season, it's obviously not going to be every game, but when the situation calls for it, get nasty. Get nasty and, take a little of that aggression out on the opposition. Doug says, I love this team. As do I, Doug. What a fun season this has been. What a fun season this has been. Pro Bolt says, I still believe Markey shouldn't have been extended. Cap space is going to be too little. Again, for the people that keep talking about this, I've said a million times before, since the deal has been signed, it is way, way, way too early to call it. If we get the Jacob Markstrom that we've seen the past couple games and that we've seen for lots of the time last year, he's a legit starter. And hopefully now he's getting in his groove and we see him continue to give us that level of play, because I do think when he's on his game, he is a money goaltender, and we will see. But anyone calling the deal poor, it's just the analogy I used, I think the last live, was like calling a 3-hour movie terrible after 2 minutes. Like, how can you even, there's just no basis to even call it yet. And you got to hope for the best, but you have to be somewhat inspired by the last 2 marquee starts, 2 big wins for him. And he will certainly be in net tomorrow against the Flyers, hopefully looking to make it 4 in a row for the team and 3 in a row for him personally. Michael says, Nemo is a perfect example of why you stay patient with young players. For sure. A lot of people down on him during the stretches of last season where he was kind of in and out of the lineup. It seemed like, is Nemo going to pan out to be this guy we all wanted him to be? And I do think that overtime, I guess backtracking a little bit, his overall playoff was pretty solid. I think gave him a lot of confidence going forward into this season. But that playoff overtime goal, double overtime goal, completely insane. He must have been on cloud 9 after that, and was definitely a boost to his confidence. And then in the summer, he went out there and trained like Rocky Balboa. We saw the photos of him doing the crazy weights, the sled. He was doing it all, training hard, and the results are showing on the ice. It's all translating. It's all coming together, and this kid's still only 21 years old. The sky is the limit for Nemo. He is going to continue to get better and better as time goes on, and it's unbelievable to see. Yo Home says Nemo is him. He will only get better too. I completely agree. Pro Bowl says, I hope Dawes doesn't leave for nothing. Very interesting scenario. Cheers to all you guys. The whole Dawes thing is very interesting to me. I just can't see the Devils signing him. Even if they somehow still have him going into the summer, I have to believe he's signed somewhere else. We have Markey for 2 more years and Jake Allen for 4 after this one. So I just can't see where he fits in the plans. And I don't think he would want to have his path to a regular NHL gig kind of blocked up like that. And so I do think he will likely, look for a team where he is nearly guaranteed NHL playing time next season, but we'll see. That's definitely an interesting thing to keep an eye on as the season progresses. Jonathan Decker, odds were even or narrowly favored Buffalo before the game. Guess people had no respect for Jackless Devils, but they showed them. I mean, listen, you don't win as many games as this team has by not being a good team, despite Jack Hughes not being in the lineup. Obviously, they are a better team with Jack, but this, especially in these last 3 games, and I was nervous. I'm not going to lie. We talked about it. After the 3-game losing streak and the fashion in which they lost in Philly, that was like a deflating loss. It was just ugly on so many levels. But this team has responded to that adversity. Following a 3-game losing streak, they're now on a 3-game winning streak, including a beautiful beating of the Buffalo Sabres tonight. And the Sabres aren't as bad as a lot of people will try to make them out to be. They have a lot of high-end talent, and they've played pretty well at home, I believe. And so anytime you could go into another team's barn and wax them like this, it's a statement. I think tonight was certainly a statement game. Alex says, I think our success is definitely more of last year injuries and guys getting experience in the regular season and playoffs. Beachmaster, love this team now. Real hockey, absolutely. M. Sharp, this team skates. John Fay, Nemo showing he is here and he is ready. Yeah, simonnemec, guys. He is a legitimate NHL defenseman, and the sky is the limit for him. So many clutch moments already on this season alone. It's crazy. We're just over a quarter of the way through the season, and the guys scored 2 overtime winners, one of them which capped off a hat trick for him. And then he obviously had that amazing shootout winner as well. I mean, wow. Clutch. The clutch gene is certainly running through simonnemec's body. Traveling Devil, all the shots on goal won't stop till they decide to start hitting the opposing team coming over the blue line. Would like to see that. It is a lot of shots, and they're not, anytime you give up 42 shots against, it's obviously not a great statistic, and on a lot of nights you will lose as a result of that, but that night was not tonight. John faces, I still can't believe we allowed Buffalo to get 42 shots. Yo Holmes, Timo equals wagon. Timo Meyer, folks. Oh, God, I love Timo. I'm still waiting for apologies. I mean, listen, guys, today, it's Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Now is as good of a time as ever to deposit your apologies in the comments for Timo Meyer. Deposit them now. Deposit them now. 42 shots along with 20 block shots. Yeah, it's crazy, right? It's 62 shots at a minimum attempted. Lex says, Allen is in court right now because he's being accused of robbery. What a game for Jake the Snake. And I will take this time to say my normal spiel about franchise legend for signing that team-friendly deal. Jake the Snake. Guys, he left so much money on the table to stay a New Jersey Devil. You'd love to see it. And I would love to see him hoist the cup with this group. Frank says a 4-game winning streak without Jack would go a long way in supporting the, in quotes, this team is different narrative. I still believe this team is different because with Jack Hughes down, even a 3-game winning streak, I mean, and winning some tight, gutsy ones along the way, overtime games, shootout games, the team is winning a lot of these close ones, and they're looking like they're getting war tested here. Hopefully all of this stretch without Jack gives a lot of guys confidence and gets this team feeling a little bit looser for when he does come back. But wow, what a dominant win for the Devils. Faces, I wouldn't change anything for the time being. It worked today. Hopefully it works tomorrow night against the Flyers. I'm with you. Obviously, outside of the starting goaltender, it certainly will be Markey in there. But wow. Delta V, I'm going to say this every time. We are winning. Ugly. Yup. Deserved it. Nope. Don't freaking matter. We're winning. Doomers, take a seat in the back. Yeah. Doomers, sit down. This New Jersey Devils team is just finding ways to gut out wins. And tonight was a special one. Just a blowout special. Pro Bolt says, cap is going up, but some of the money NJ needs for Nemec, Grits, and Nico. Obviously, Nemitz and Grits will both be getting paid somewhat handsomely, this offseason. The Nemo deal is a tough one. He's going to want money, and he deserves every penny of it. The Grits, I think, is still up in the air just because we don't know what his production is going to be at the end of the season, and obviously that has a lot to do with what he's going to be looking for. But hopefully it's nothing backbreaking for the Devils. Michael, great win. The whole team effort was finally there tonight. Allen was unbelievable. Hoping Markey takes this game as a gauntlet thrown. Beachmaster says Palat fits top 6 in the playoffs. I like Palat, but I don't want him in our top 6. I think he's going to be better served for this team in the bottom 6. I think the top 6 is pretty well set now with the core 4 plus Mercer plus Grits. You figure out who's slotting where, but I like that top 6 a lot. Yoham says Buffalo is a top 10 offense. Lads came out sleepy defensively. I blame the 4 o'clock weirdo start time. It certainly is weird. I don't know that I love the 4 o'clock start time, but you know what? I guess the boys do because they came out and just thumped this team. And so maybe we need some more 4 o'clock games. Troy says, was that the game sitting behind the Sabres goal, watching Paulie on the breakaway was chef's kiss. Very nice. So happy for Paul Cotter. You guys know I love him. Like I've said, he's been getting chances and generating chances as of late, but he just seemed to be snake bit and nothing was going in for him. But he had a chance earlier in this game too. That didn't go for him. But on the breakaway, Cotter was like, no, this one's going in. And he finished. What a finish by Paul Cotter. Doug says, feels nice to finally have depth to carry us through key players getting injured. Yeah, it really is. And again, in conjunction with the big dogs being the big dogs, Timo and Nico have really stepped it up, and you need that. Whenever a guy like Jack goes down, you're going to need everyone to pitch in. Love to see the depth guys coming through, and also love to see Nico and Timo getting it done. John says, Siegs will be dropping the gloves tomorrow. I got a feeling. I won't mind. Zupamaki being 16-7-1 at Thanksgiving is beyond expectations, given the injuries and schedule. So proud of these guys. Let's go Devils. And it's a great point you make there that we've talked about plenty of times throughout this young season with Jack Hughes. Forget just Jack Hughes. Let's just pretend we had a crystal ball before the season and we said through 24 games, we're going to have no injuries. No injuries. Fully healthy team, which obviously has been anything but the case. But in this scenario, let's just say we knew that through 24 games, we were going to have 0 injuries, fully healthy. I don't think a lot of people would have thought this team could have been 16-7-1 if we were fully healthy. And we've been decimated with injuries. I would have signed up for 16-7-1 before the season, assuming everyone was healthy. The fact that they are at this point with this record, given the injuries they have sustained, is nothing short of remarkable, and it is a testament to this team rallying amongst each other, and also a testament to Sheldon Keefe. Sheldon Keefe needs to get his props. He's been dealt horrific cards ever since becoming the Devils coach, primarily with just a ton of injuries, just wiping out chunks of the lineup since he's been here. And it's happened again this year, and he's found a way, shuffling D pairs, shuffling lines. I would be curious to know how many different line combinations at forward we've had this season. I'm sure it's been a ton. It's got to be way up there. But regardless, with all the injuries, Keefe has found a way to keep cycling guys in, swap guys on different lines, and has made this team competitive with all the injuries. And it's crazy to see. Keefe needs to get his credit. Nicole, I'll be there, and I want to see a comeback. The last Flyers game was embarrassing. We need to be feisty tomorrow. Totally agree. They should be playing I'll call them lowlights. The lowlights from that game should be on loop in the locker room, and hopefully this team gets some retribution because that game in Philly was an absolute disaster. Yo Holmes says, fun fact, Jake Allen was the only player to attend the optional skate on Thanksgiving. Dude went to work by himself like the man, and look what happened. Was there literally no one else there? Not even like a depth photo, nothing. I didn't see that. That's interesting. But Jake Allen, and to kind of piggybacking off this, got to give credit to Bratter as well. I have seen Bratter listed as a participant in many of these optional skates where you see a lot, sometimes you see depth guys or, scratched players typically getting some extra work in on these optional skates. Bratter has been there for a ton of them. And that's the sign of a guy looking to get better, looking to put in the extra work, and looking to win. Love to see guys like Bratter on there. Nicole says, will we see you there, Ace? I do think I'm going to be at the game tomorrow. It's not definitive, but I do plan on going. Rico, people kind of talk trash about Luke. Even I have, and looking into his stats before the game, around half a point a game, and the plus-minus stat is 0, then looking at Dougie under a half a point and being a -1. I have zero worries about Luke Hughes. A lot of people, again, because of the contracts just, big contracts really put bullseyes on guys' backs, and the peanut gallery and the doomers will target guys because of their contract. And again, for the 10 millionth time, the Luke deal was given for future value hope. You hope in a couple years he's worth way more than the $9 million. It certainly doesn't preclude him from being worth it this year, but you think the first year or two, you might be slightly overpaying to save some money on the back end of the deal. I have no worries about Luke Hughes. Is he playing like a $9 million defenseman as of today? I'm going to say no, but he's another stud in the making. Plays big minutes. He's been playing on his offhand. I have no worries about Luke or his contract whatsoever. He is going to continue to get better as well. Would like to see him develop a little bit more of a feistiness, especially in the D zone. I would like to see him be a little harder on his stick checks and maybe just, there's a couple plays where he went to hit somebody, but it was very, a little too timid for my liking. Hopefully he develops into a little bit of a nastier streak, but I have no worries about Luke. He's going to be a beast for the team for years to come. And the contract does not worry me whatsoever either. Mark says, Kiefer Sherwood for a second. Don't mind that for us. So I actually tweeted on X. And if you're not following me on X, I'm getting all kinds of texts here. Follow your boy on the X. Shameless X plug here. Where's my X graphic? I tweeted this after the or when I saw the tweet from somebody else that Vancouver supposedly wants a second for Sherwood. I mean, it seems too good to be true. But follow your boy on X. Running with NJD, link in the chat here. But I tweeted when I saw that I would trade a second for Sherwood without thinking about it. Guy, definitely heavier, edgier, more violent. Led the league in hits last year. I'm sure he's amongst the top hitters in the league this year. Has scored quite a bit early on. He would be a menace in the bottom six of the New Jersey Devils. And if he's available for a second rounder, I do that without thinking tonight. I make that deal tonight if that is on the table. I don't know, who knows what the team is thinking in terms of ads. There's so many different rumors and things, the Ryan O'Reilly or some other 3C, those kind of stories are out there in the world. Obviously, the looming bombshell of a potential Quinn Hughes trade, but maybe we get a little package. Quinn Hughes and Sherwood. I would certainly love Sherwood on this team. Pro Bolt says, I could see Dougie getting traded at the deadline as part of a package for a player. Plot in the offseason, most likely. I do think, I've said forever, I do like Dougie. He has a big role on this team, and I do think he's important regardless of what other people may believe. But I do also believe that his contract is the path of least resistance for Fitz to kind of become cap compliant and maybe make a separate move. Obviously, we're going to have to free up like $4 million when Kovacevic comes back at some point. And because of right D, same as Kovacevic, to clear the roster spot and the money, I do think it may be too tempting for Fitz not to trade him. Or it'll be too tempting. Yeah, it'll be too tempting for him not to trade him. And so I think he may. And I certainly will be a little upset when we move on from Dougie. I'm hoping it's not till the summer, but I think there is a good chance it could be this season. Zach says, if we win tomorrow, we'll have gotten a 4-game win streak for twice in the same season for the first time since 22-23. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's been a while. It has been a while. Scanning the comments here. I'm falling behind, so I'm trying to catch up. Robbie's bench toss says Sherwood is rumored to be going for a high first and another asset. That seems extremely high. I think someone put out the Pagnotta. Was it David Pagnotta or someone mentioned that it was a second rounder or something else? I think a first and another asset is crazy high. I wouldn't be interested at that price, but for a second, I really would love it. Wasted Youth, smash the like for our boy. Thank you. Victory Drinks, I'm drunk, Ace. Hello from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia. Went for drinks and wings and missed the first period. Happy Thanksgiving, Ace. No Jack, and we are 4-3. I will certainly take it. Wasted Youth Caper, and now I suddenly want buffalo wings myself. Love wings. Love wings. Stevens Forever says, anyone know when Jack is coming back? Yeah, probably mid-January. Mid-January-ish. Jungle Statics is first plus Casey plus Dawes. That should be as good of a package as anyone's going to offer for a great third line center. This is the time. Who are you talking about for that trade? Pro Bolt says Tuch would be a good addition, but he would probably command Adrian Kempe money. And yeah, you guys know I love Tuch. I think he would be a great fit for this club. The main thing that, first of all, I don't think it's realistic anyway, but the main thing that would make me not interested is the rumors of the amount of money he wants when his deal is up, obviously this summer. And like, I think someone was saying 11 or 12 million, like we can't afford to pay that. And so, if he had a reasonable contract in place with term with years left, I would be all in on getting him. But to get a guy whose contract is about to expire and have to pay him a ton of money, I'm out. But Tage Thompson is locked up for a long time at a very nice cap hit. That's one of my most unrealistic wants would be Tage Thompson. That guy, I mean, you saw it today. Total beast. He's willing to fight. Big dude. Could play center or wing. I mean, he would give the Devils so many options. You could slot him at center if you need to. He has been playing wing in Buffalo. But him in our top six, filthy. But it's just pipe dreams, guys. So, Alex says Jake the Snake is definitely coming back as a coach or something for the Devils. I would love to see him be one of the next players to join either the coaching staff or front office with the Devils. He certainly has been around for a while. He seems like a very crafty vet that has great knowledge of the game beyond just on the ice. And so I could totally see him being a coach or executive of some kind. NJ Swamp Fox, what are the chances of getting Quinn for Dougie, Siegs, Casey, and a high draft pick? We should not trade Nemitz and leave us with Pesci, Nemo, Kovacevic on the right with Quinn, Luke. The rumors are all over the place. And I kind of, my buddy Steve the Maniac, I originally told Steve the Maniac I really, really would not want to trade Nemo. And I still wouldn't want to, but like if you're forced to, I don't know. It's a tough decision. I mean, Quinn Hughes is, a top player in the league, probably second best defenseman in the league. And anytime you have a chance to get them, you got to do what you got to do. But Nemo would be a really tough piece for me to part with in a deal like that. Doug says, Alan and Mark, you want to win so badly with the squad, the tandem this franchise has been asking for. Yeah, totally agree. A lot of people were down on, their age coming into the season. And obviously they're win now goalies. You got to win in the next few years. Marky's here for 2 more years after this. Alan signed for 4 more. I doubt he plays the whole contract, but either way, they're win now goalies. They're giving you a chance to win on most nights. We've seen a couple Marky stinkers, and I guess that Philly game, you could say Allen wasn't great, but I don't think he cost the team. But they're going to give you a chance to win on most nights, and especially when the D is solid, which it has been on many nights. And this is with 2 of our top 6 guys out. I expect the defense to get much better with Pesci and Kovacevic back. And with this tandem, you're in the game every night. Find a way to generate enough goals to win. And that's, a main reason why I was so high on this team in the summer coming into the season is because, in the words of our original professor, Lou Lamoriello, you build a team from the net out. And when you have a good tandem like this and a good defense, you got a chance to win every night. And now you sprinkle in our, top offensive threats in the league with some decent depth scoring. It's the recipe for a team that's capable of going on a deep run. And I certainly hope, guys, more than anything, that I am drinking ice cold beers with some of you on Championship Plaza in front of the Rock in June. I want nothing more than to be at a Stanley Cup Finals game. I'll take a conference finals. I guess that would bring us to late May, early June, conference finals, cup finals, in shorts, Championship Plaza, clinking beers outside of the Rock before we go and watch the New Jersey Devils take part in either an Eastern Conference Finals or Stanley Cup Finals game. It would be phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal, and it's been entirely too long. All right, I fell behind, guys. I'm going to morph speed up a little bit. Pro Bolt says I could see Nemitz and Grits get bridge deals. I don't think Nemo will take one. I think I could see it more so for Grits. I don't think there's any chance Nemo takes one. I don't think there's any chance. Possibly Grits. You got to try Nemo and Grits on bridge. Doug says got to lock Nemitz up long term. I completely agree with that too. You know, even if he asks for the same exact contract Luke got, 7 or 8 years at $9 million, like with the cap going up, and if Nemo continues to get better, that price could go way up in a few years from now too. And this is the new cap era that we live in. It's crazy. John Fay says, after today's performance, it wouldn't surprise me if they throw Allen in net as a redemption revenge against the Flyers. John Fay, you are crazy, my guy. There is 0% chance Jake Allen is in net tomorrow. 0. Especially with 42 shots, there's 0 chance, my guy. It is not possible. There's a better chance of me winning the lottery tonight. I don't even know if there's a lottery drawing. There'd be a better chance of me winning the lottery, even if there's not a lottery drawing. Non-existent chance of Allen playing tomorrow. It would take a crazy scenario for a goalie these days to be played in back-to-backs, but coming off a 42 save night, no chance. The sports analytics and the sports science people are like, oh no. Playing a guy back-to-back after a workload like you saw tonight, there's 0 chance whatsoever. Now, as a side note, I'm super old school. You guys already know. We grew up on Marty, the horse, playing tons of back-to-back, 77 starts, 78 starts. As crazy as it may sound to some, I will say as an aside, there's 0 chance he plays tomorrow. But if it were up to me, if I was in charge, I would straight up go to Jake Allen and be like, Jake, can you go tomorrow? And if he says yes, that would be enough for me. And I would put Allen back out there, but there's no chance it happens. None. What's going on, Selected Boy? Cape Dweller says, I love today's 4 o'clock start time. 41 saves is a lot of shots. Yeah, it was 42. Yo Holmes says, Cotter post-game said he liked his first chance better. Classic. Andrew says, Ace, love the hat. Where'd you find it? So, unfortunately, this hat was not available for sale. This was a giveaway at an exclusive event. This was not made for public sale. Yo Holmes, so happy Cotter got the monkey off his back. First goal in 17 games. Yeah. I think the last goal he got was, if I'm not mistaken, was that Wild game. He was alone in front and buried one. That was an awesome goal, too. Regurgitator had money on Brownie to score. Dang it. My girlfriend bet on Dylan and won $250. Lady Luck. Oh, wow. What were the odds on Dylan to score? They had to be like 25-1. What did she throw, $10 on it? I'm curious about your bet, Regurgitator. Let me know about your girlfriend's bet. James, can I just say one of the best additions over the summer is Don LaGreca. Put a pitchfork in this one. Devils win. Phenomenal. I love Don, obviously. You guys know I did an interview with him. If you haven't seen it, check it out. Guy is a old school Devils fan, longtime fan. Then he went to work for the Rangers for a while. But he is genuinely fired up in the booth with Dano calling these games. And I'm certainly a big fan of Don LaGreca and what he brings to the broadcast. Troy Machine was hoping to have a victory drink from a beer saber, but man, 20-minute wait to get one. Wow. I did see that. One of the cooler kind of novelty items I've seen in an arena. They're a little saber sword. For those that don't know, they have like that saber sword where they fill it with beer. It's like a glass or plastic, whatever the hell, but it's like a long sword. Very cool item. Alex says, I think Ryan O'Reilly is the only realistic one. It seems to be the most realistic, in my opinion. Regurgitator, the team's going to be insane when we get Covey and Pesci back. I just want to add a top 6 winger. Yeah, I do too. But I think at this point, I think the 3C is more viable and more likely. I still would love a top 6 winger, but I think the 3C definitely is more important because now I do believe we have a legitimate top 6 with the core 4, Nico, Timo, Bratter, and Jack when healthy. The core 4 plus Mercer and Grits is a pretty legit top 6. The bigger hole for me is the 3C. If we were able to get a 3C from somewhere and push Glass to 4C, I think our forward group would be looking pretty damn good. Pro Bowl says realistic package for Thompson. It'd be a ton, man. A ton. Great young player in his prime with the contract in place that he has. It would be a fortune, but I certainly would entertain it. But this is pipe dream stuff. It's not going to happen, but I would love to see it. SJ says Jake was on fire today. Not great rebound control. Devil Heaven, happy Thanksgiving, Devs fans. Hello, long weekend. Jungle Static has Grits, Hughes, Mercer, Brat, Nico, Meyer, Brown, Ryan O'Reilly, Nason, Cotter, Glass, Dodonov, and if some injuries come up, so what? That's filthy. I love the top 2 lines and really like the 3rd line as well. My only swap would be on the 4th line. Like Dodonov, it just hasn't worked out. Injury. I want to see Zach McEwen. I know everyone forgets about him, but I have to keep remembering. Zach McEwen looked great in the few games we saw from him. Big dude, uses his size, goes to the corners, can skate. I think McEwen is almost a prototypical 4th liner for what you want. And it sucks that since we traded for him, he's been riddled with injuries. But I think, if he could stay healthy, I would love to see him on our playoff roster. I think he's a potential great 4th liner. David says, I think Bratt has a big game tomorrow. He's definitely due. Definitely like to see Bratter start burying some goals for sure, but he's accumulating assists pretty nicely. Alex says, I guess this is in response to the Tage question. Mercer, 2 first, Casey, I think does it. Maybe they'll ask for Salayev because of the steal of the contract Thompson's on. Got to think of Cap again, throwing it out there. I don't think that gets it done, Alex, but I think you're not too far off. Mercer, 2 first, Casey. Yeah, I mean, I think you're close. I mean, his contract is just so sweet. So sweet for so long. They would ask for a ton. Wow. Palat with 2 points, SJ. Put some respect on his name. 2 point. Yeah, Regurgitator, 2 points. Let's Ride 27 says, Fitz needs to add a 3C and stay away from Quinn unless it's a steal. No reason to screw with the team's chemistry. I see both sides of this. This is one of the more agonizing. I might make a in-depth long video about this. I thought about doing it the other day, but I still think all the stuff that's coming out is just like clickbait nonsense, and you guys know how I feel about it. So I have to kind of internalize it a little bit more. But it is not every day, and I'm all about not messing with chemistry. And this team is fighting and getting wins despite all the injuries, Jack being out. But it is not every day that you are able to obtain a player of Quinn's caliber. It's true. Not every day these opportunities come up. And while I certainly understand and are somewhat aligned with the idea of, well, we could get him for free in free agency in July of 27, which certainly seems to be true. I do think, and I've said this since, the summer early on when Rutherford made those comments in Vancouver, that I do believe at the longest we wait would be July 1, 2027, when he could sign here as an unrestricted free agent. There is a tremendous value of having this year's playoff run and next year's with him at the cap hit he's at, which is like, I think around $8 million. There is tremendous value in that. And so I certainly would much rather get him here sooner than later if this is the route the team is going to take. And it certainly seems that way. I just wouldn't want to, it's just tough. I really would not want to part with Nemo and Mercer. It really would kill me. But if you're backed into a corner, I think you have to at least consider it. And again, my Steve the Maniac's been hammering me about this because I originally said, no, I would not do the deal. But it is not every day that you get a chance to add a player of this caliber. And he really is a game breaker and would definitely make the team better. I just, there's a lot of elements that kind of go into it. And so I certainly understand why tons of people are clamoring for it. It makes sense, right? You don't get a chance to get a guy like this all the time. And so I see both sides of it. It's a really tough one. I don't know that Vancouver is even going to trade him this year. I think I predicted in the summer that they would wait till this offseason, but who knows? Maybe, supposedly Philly's interested. I'm sure tons of teams are interested, but I also think that all of those teams believe he will sign with the Devils in free agency as well. But you never know. I mean, listen, there is a world where he gets dealt somewhere and he ends up loving it. They give him a ton of money and he does sign an extension there. That is possible. And if that does happen, I would be okay with it if that's how it plays out. But I certainly would like to get him here sooner than later if that's what they're going to do. I just wouldn't want to gut the roster if possible and try to really load up on futures. But it seems like they don't really want futures. And so it would be one of those trades that stings a little bit. But as I've said many times, some of the best trades are the ones that do sting in the moment. When you hear it, you're like, whoa. And Lou Lamoriello has made countless trades like that in season And the players that we traded for ended up playing huge parts in cup runs. So who knows? But he certainly is a phenomenal player, and you don't get a chance to get guys like that all the time at all. Regurgitator says Quinn will turn the tide in NJ's favor. Hokage, I said I disliked Palat the other day, but he looked decent today. I was hoping Grits would get a hattie, but 2 goals is nice. Yeah, he scored it so late. He didn't have a lot of time to get the third. He was out there late in the third period. He had at least another shift. And he did send a shot. It was like a shot pass. Who really knows? Towards net. It would have been nice for him to complete the hattie, but I think he gets one eventually. I don't know if it'll be this season, but he's eventually going to get a hat trick. I mean, that's what goal scorers do. Devil Heaven says, boys stepping up. SST says, Luke is another Kevin Ball. I don't even know what that means. Regurgitator, I'll make sure the league knows he will only sign with NJ. John Fay says, in case no one saw it, the cost for O'Reilly is as follows. A first rounder and an A-level prospect. Anson says, what does everyone prefer? Top 6 winger or 3C? At this point, I'm going to have to go 3C if it's someone of substance, but I certainly would love the top 6. I mean, that was my number 1 want for a while, but now that Mercer looks like he belongs, and with the emergence of Grits, I've now went to the 3C personally because I just think that's the bigger need at the moment. But don't get me wrong, a top 6 winger would be a great add too. But the center depth right now, when healthy, Jack, Nico, Glass, and Glendenning, like ideally, if Glass could be a 4C because we get a legit 3C, that would make us a lot more well-rounded, in my opinion. But a top 6 winger would make me smile too. Regurgitator says top 6 winger who could snipe. David also says top 6 winger. Doug, I hope the season Fitz is proactive and makes moves before the deadline instead of waiting till the last moment. Yeah, but, a lot of times, I'm not going to make excuses, but a lot of times if you're trying to trade for a guy right now, the prices might be a little higher. I guess it could go either way, depending. But I think there's tons of teams looking for centers, tons of teams looking to bolster their roster for the playoffs. And so, there's competition for all these guys. Doug says, if I'm Fitz, I'm shopping right now. I think he's definitely inquiring. Probolt says, I'd take Thompson over Quinn. To be fair, the D is stacked as is when Hamilton is gone. I completely agree with you, but I don't think that's in the cards. But all things equal, I love Quinn, and he would be a great Devil. And I think he would definitely make the team better. Like you pointed out, the defense is in much better shape, in my opinion, than the forwards. And so all things equal, if I had to pick between the two, I'm certainly picking Tage Thompson as well. But Quinn would be a great addition to the team too. Regurgitator says Glass is fine at 3C. Okay. I think he has looked pretty damn good at 3C, but how nice of a luxury would it be if we could push him to 4C? Furthermore, with all due respect to Glendenning, he's not bringing any offense. Yeah, he's done pretty well at faceoffs, decent defender, but if you could slide Glass to 4C and bring in a nice 3C, you don't think that would be a nice, a nice position to be in? Jeremy Proper says 3C, so everyone plays their proper position. Devil Heaven says, Devils fans, how you cooking the Turks? Oven or, I guess, deep fryer? Yo, Holmes, Grits is real sweet. What a great addition right out of the gate. Yeah, the team, I think, was super high on him based on what the Russian scouts were telling Fitz and the rest of his team. The Russian scouts were super high on him, and he's delivered. I mean, wow. What a game for him tonight. How I got here. Jeremy Proper says top 6 going to cost too much unless Pally gets shipped out, not Dougie. Palat with 2 assists. Oregano Dealer, you guys are way too comfortable with the man made of glass. I don't know who that's in reference to. Regurgitator, Grits is my favorite Devil this year. Hope he signs a 7-year deal. Would love to see him locked up long-term. Again, a lot of that contract will be determined by how his season finishes and what the point totals and everything are looking like. But let's just see. So Grits now, he's exactly half a point per game player, which is what I predicted in the summer, by the way. I'm going to do a little one of these. He's got 12 points in the 24 games, which puts him on pace for 41 points over the course of an 82-game season, and I predicted he'd be a 40-point guy. Yeah. So a 40-point guy with a promising future, what does that cost in the new cap era? I have no idea. Hopefully they could lock him up long-term at something that's somewhat team friendly. But at this point, I honestly don't even have a guess of what that is. Like, I wouldn't be surprised by what any number, really. CLW will be at the game tomorrow. Drew will be there too. My 8 ball said we'd win tonight and tomorrow. Very nice. I hope your 8 ball is correct. David Glass, very responsible with the puck, has very good hockey IQ. Jeremy Proper, Kachuk skating sighting this week. Watch out, Florida getting healthier. Yeah, Florida's never out of it, in my opinion. And I think they're still talking about Barkov being able to come back. I mean, it's wild. Watch them go on a tear. SJ says Quinn for free. He would cost too much. He's obviously not going to be cheap, but the reality is to have him for 2 playoff runs is huge. This team, the window is open for this team to win now, right now. And to have Quinn for the next 2 years at a good cap, or 2 years, including this season, at the cap hit that he's at, there is tremendous value in that. And if there is a deal on the table for the Devils to get him that doesn't completely gut the team, it has to be considered. I mean, he is magical. Christian says, going to the game tomorrow, what is the best parking? Willing to be further away to pay less. Look online. There's a bunch of like Prudential Center parking maps with lots that are kind of all over the place. Regurgitator says, Quinn will probably be a Devil next season on a reasonable trade because the Nucks have 0 leverage. Yeah, but if they are really going to move on from him, you'd have to believe they'll consider it this year, just because the value, to a team trading for his services, to have him for 2 playoff runs versus 1 is a big difference. I do think it would be a major misstep for the Canucks if they don't trade him sooner than later. Now, Saravelli, I believe, put out something that said Quinn Hughes is committed to the Canucks 100%. So who really knows? There's a lot of kind of smoke behind the scenes, and who really knows what the true story is, but it just seems like he wants out of there. And how could you blame him, man? I mean, to come to New Jersey and be on a somewhat of a cup contending team. I'm going to say it is a cup contending team with your brothers. I mean, it's an easy decision. Holmes says Boo's Face will have to perform cat magic once everyone gets healthy. You certainly will. Chills and Selmo says Sabres should go back to those unis. Reminds me of Shatan and Hasek. Yeah, and Mike, I put Michael Pekka in that group as well. But the goat head, the black Sabres jersey with the goat head are all-time classics. Jungle Static says Pesci, Hamilton, Nemitz, Kovacevic. Who is the odd man out then? I like Kovy, but we could also use that cap space right now. Kovacevic has a no trade or no move or both, whatever it is. He's not going anywhere. The team is super high on him. And so out of those guys at this very moment in time, another reason why I do think Dougie's going to be the odd man out. Now, a couple months ago, I would have said probably Nemo would have been the odd man out, but I believe his breakout has solidified his place in the lineup every day. And so when you look at those names, it's got to be Dougie, unfortunately. Alex says I would cry if we got Tage. So would I. But that's a pipe dream. Jason says, what a great Thanksgiving and a great solid shutout victory for Jake the Snake Allen and my Devils club. Now that our defense depth is working. Very nice. Devils fan, I take NJ Transit to the game. I don't know if my car would last. Pro Bolt says, I feel like I'm on the Tage wagon. I mean, if it was ever remotely possible, everyone should be on the Tage wagon. The guy's a monster, but I just don't see it. Yo Home says, Chico was burying Buffalo all night. At the end of the game, he said, not enough fans left to boo them. Wow. Wow. Collect Records says, Chico was a total savage tonight. I might have to check it out. All right. I think they repost the post game. Jungle Static, honestly, the only thing that scares me about this team is Markey. I hope I'm wrong, though. Hopefully he settles in. I mean, listen, we saw the first game he played after signing the contract extension in LA was a gem from him. He stole the 2 points. He stole a victory for us. We would have went winless on that road trip if it was not the West Coast road trip, if it wasn't for Markey stealing the game in LA. I think he had like 40 or 41 saves in that one. Completely thefted. Then he had a shaky outing, and then he's won his last two in pretty tight affairs. And so I hope tomorrow we see him get his third win, the fourth in a row for the team, and that Markey just settles in and gets comfortable and gets back to that level of play we're accustomed to seeing from him. And I do think he was nursing an injury or multiple injuries for a while, and hopefully he's much closer to full health and his play reflects it. Jeremy Proper says, we make it to the finals, I'll fly up for 1 or 2. Oh, I want to play in the finals so bad. David, I'd even drink Bud Ice with you 8 sounds line before a Stanley Cup Finals game. I think they still make Bud Ice. I'm pretty sure I saw it. I could be wrong, but I thought I did see it. Alex says, Nemo at 9 million makes me shake. Give him a bridge to further prove himself. And then he further proves himself, Alex, and then he asks for 12 million. I've seen, I mean, barring that he continues to play at the level we've seen so far. And again, I'm not counting, I don't mean continue to score overtime winners and score in the shootouts to win the game. But assuming his production is around what it's been and he looks like the guy we've seen thus far this season, through this whole year, that would certainly be enough for me to say I've seen enough and lock him up. Because if you're talking about in some world where he takes a bridge deal and then he continues to play the same or even better, you're going to be wishing you signed that deal for $9 million because that price is going up. John faces, if you win the lottery, buy the Devils franchise. When I was younger, that was always a dream of mine, to win the lottery and buy the Devils. The reality is now, with the values of pretty much every sports team through the roof, and I do believe the NHL franchise values on average have gone up in the past, 5 or 10 years, way more than even other sports. Winning the biggest Powerball ever is nowhere near enough money to buy the Devils anymore. So that dream has died, unfortunately. But that was a dream of mine. I was like, damn, if I win the Powerball, I'm totally buying the Devils. The Devils are worth too much now. You can't even do it. Honest Llama, what's the likelihood we trade Johnny Kovacevic and Hamilton to save some cap space to sign Nemo long-term? 0 chance Kovacevic is dealt. I do think Dougie will probably be dealt. Alex says, imagine Tage in the red and black with Jack. Yeah, that'd be a phenomenal pairing or line, depending on how you look at it. But Jack, Tage, and anyone else would be electric. I originally was saying that about Bratter, but now I think I'm kind of on the leave Bratter with Timo and Nico. But it's nice to have options. Kovacevic has a full no trade the next 2 seasons. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. I want to see that hat as a jersey. Yeah, it certainly would be cool. There was a warm-up jersey back when they still were allowed to have warm-up jerseys before the league got rid of them. There was let me see if I still have it somewhere here. Yeah, there was this. There was this warm-up jersey, which was pretty much what you're saying. And this was sick. I remember when I saw this, and it has the state of New Jersey in the white as well on the shoulders. This is one of the sickest specialty jerseys of all time. And I remember when I saw it, I was like, that is beautiful. But I feel like you need to have the red. As much as I like this, how are you going to have an alternate with no red on it? Like, I just think you need to have red. But this is an absolutely beautiful jersey for sure. This was a warm-up jersey, I think, either 2 or 3 years ago. Devil Heaven says Allen has to start tomorrow's Flyers. There's no chance. There's no chance. Jersey Roots, I just said before, this hat wasn't available for sale anywhere. David, disagree that Nemo isn't a bridge. His defensive analytics are still weak, and he is an RFA with no arbitration rights. Luke played much better defense last season before payoff. Nemo and Fitz might prefer. If I had to predict, I still think he gets long-termed, but I wouldn't mind a bridge. It's just a risky game, but I don't know. Well, we're going to see. Collect records. Dilly was wearing the same hat Ace has in the post game, but it was red with the white logo. Yeah, the Dilly hat was sick. I posted on X right away. I was like, I need that hat. It was clean. That one should be for sale. It was a new era. It's a red with a big white logo. I guess I'll pull that up, right? Give me 1 second. I gotta do some magic to show you the Dillon hat. Man, Brendan Dillon, what a throwback warrior. They don't make him like Dilly anymore. The last of a dying breed. I absolutely love Brendan Dillon, and he's another guy who I would just kill to see raise a cup in a Devils jersey. It would just be such a beautiful sight to see Dilly win a cup here at the tail end of his career. Would really be phenomenal. But this is the oh shit, hold on, I gotta pull this out. Bear with me, guys. Limitations. Bang, look at this hat from Dilly. Woo! That is a sweet hat. Yeah, as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need that for the collection. I mean, I literally could wear probably a different Devils hat every day for like a month. At this point, I probably have I have way too much Devils merch, but you guys know I have a problem. You know, so what am I going to do? I'm going to keep buying hats. Just keep buying these hats. Keep buying these hats and all this other merch that I don't need because I have a problem. But what a sweet hat. Jonathan Decker, thank you for the super, sir. Allen is a beast, and let's go Rutgers. Yeah, let's go RU. I don't know. I feel like Shiano is just, I don't know, as far as Rutgers football goes. And last year, Rutgers basketball really broke my heart. I can't believe they couldn't even make the tournament with two guys getting drafted in the top 5 in the NBA. Like, that'll never happen again for Rutgers. To have 2 top 5 NBA draft picks and not even make the tournament, it's gross. It's gross, Jonathan, but what are you going to do? But thank you very much for the super. Really appreciate it. Allen was a beast, obviously. Complete beast. I'm scanning the chat here. Bear with me. I fell behind again. I'm trying to catch up. Trying to catch up. John Fay said, I want a Brat trick before Christmas break. Can he do it? Who knows? I would love to see a Brat hat trick. I'd love to see a hat trick by anybody, but wow. Who would have thought Nemo? What a great finish in the overtime for Nemo to get his hattie. Hey, Russo says, getting Quinn is a win now move, though I'd give 2 first, Dougie, and some other stuff not worth too much. Yeah, but is Vancouver going to want that? That's the thing. Like, I'm certainly on board with something like that too, but you need the other team to agree. Alex says 2027, wait for Quinn. I'm all about win now, but not for what we'd give up. Well, we don't really know, right? It's just people speculating. We don't really know what the real price would be. And now a lot of you are saying to wait for free agency. Alex says he's a Norris defenseman. They're going to try and gut us. But yeah, but you have to keep in mind there is a unique situation at play here. Zach says, to be honest, I sadly think any trade that's going to be made is going to involve Nemo. If his trade is unavoidable, cash him in for a top dog like Quinn rather than Ryan O'Reilly. I'll tell you this. There's certain things that I know. And I know Fitz is not anywhere near crazy enough to trade Nemo for O'Reilly. That's in a deal for him. That is laughable. Now, could he be involved in a deal for Quinn? That's certainly in the realm of reality and possible. O'Reilly, 0 chance. There's 0% chance Nemo is traded to Nashville as part of an O'Reilly deal. I'm not worried about that whatsoever. Now, could he be traded for Quinn? That's a different story. As part of a deal for Quinn. Totally different story. Top Jimmy says Vancouver will gut the hell out of this team if they sense desperation and Fitz. They'll want Nemo, Mercer, Yegorov, and a first rounder. Oof, that's pretty steep. That's pretty steep. Well, who knows? We're all just speculating, right? Pro Bolt says I prefer Tage over Quinn. Richard calling Timo with the trick tomorrow. Oh, I'd love to see a Timo Hattie. Oregano dealer Quinn would change the tide for any team that grabs him. That's the worrying part of not acquiring him. I mean, it would suck if Philly got him, but if he goes to like a West Coast team or I guess a team, if he had to go to the East, obviously you'd prefer it's not in the division. But if it's, as long as it's not a division opponent, I'm not that worried. But it would really suck to see Philly get him. Supposedly they're interested, but again, this is all just who knows what's reality anymore. People are just putting out all kinds of speculation and whatever. Dire Wolf, I've said my piece on Quinn, but you also have to consider it will be much more expensive to get him July 1st, 2027, than extend him after he's been here with his bros for 2 years. Interesting point. I don't know that that's necessarily true. I think in the end, if he wants to be here with his brothers, regardless of whether he comes in free agency or if he's extended after being here for some time before that, that it's going to have to be team friendly for it to make sense. And the scary part is like, what does team friendly mean in 2 years from now? Team friendly could be $15 million. I mean, it's the new cap world is a scary, scary place. Doug says, I finally cracked and got myself a retro Devils jersey. Got a Niedermayer jersey. It comes in a few days. 100% going to rep it for the next game I go to. Very nice. Can never go wrong with a classic all-time great like Scott Niedermayer. Dave says, starting to watch this from the beginning on my TV. How about those Devils? Yeah, you're a little late, but how about those Devils, man? What a win. What a win. CLW says, Ace, who's your favorite Devil player currently? That's a tough one. That's a tough one. It's a tough one. I like so many guys. I mean, I like all the guys. If I had to pick a few, probably Nico, Timo, Dilly. And there's so many. I love Markey. Yeah, that would probably be my first grouping. Anson said, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in those private meetings with the brass. Fitz, Marty, Keefe, etc. Yeah, it certainly would be interesting. Yeah, I heard those Quinn to Philly rumors too. Faye said, I don't care if it's a top 6 or a 3C. As long as they can score, throw the body, lay clean hits, and win battles, who cares? I'm with you there too. Jungle Static says, Glass is great at 3C, but imagine him at 4C. Ace, that's exactly it. That's how winning teams think. Your 4C should be a 3C. Your 3C is 2C. Yeah. I mean, if it pans out that way, that would be great. But I'm all about this team improving, however it comes. However it comes, I'm all about the team improving. But, the team is going to have to be very selective and careful because there's not, with the cap situation, there's not going to be a ton of moves that can be made. And so, adding a 3C might be it, or adding a potential top 6 winger. That's probably your only move. And so they got to make sure they nail it on whatever the move is. The player must work out or it's going to be a big miss. And what are very important seasons now and the next couple are huge. That window is open. Nico's King says a 3C would be great, so we never have to see Lemico again. He's just not an NHL caliber player. I agree. But that's also because of our health situation at the moment. When fully healthy, Lemico is, well, he's definitely not, he could potentially be a bottom 6 winger, I guess, depending on who else is injured or not. But when fully healthy, as of right now, the center depth on this club is Jack, Nico, Glass, Glendening. But obviously I would prefer to upgrade these pieces in the bottom 6. Tate McRae is a hard 5. I don't know what that is. David Chimes, Grits does everything. If we were more offensive 5-on-5 and he was on power play 1, he'd be a 30-plus goal scorer as a rookie. Best Devil rookie to play in a long time. I know he's old for a rook, but still, yeah, obviously, coming over from the KHL, I think he's 24. With professional seasons under his belt, he is older than the typical rookie. But I think the sky's the limit for him too. I just hope they're able to lock him up at a decent deal. Richard says, love when Timo backed into that guy and busted him up. Bull, yeah. A little bit of confusion. He drew blood. I think, Buffalo was looking for a penalty, and then I think Dahlin thought it was something dirty, so he was like trying to get at Timo. Looked clean to me. It was just one of those fluke things. I don't know how so much blood came out of him from that, but John NJ Devils, what's up, Ace? Beautiful win, and my blood pressure wasn't through the roof. Love when I could sit back and enjoy the victory. Let's go Devils. Yeah, I mean, 5-0. The game was really not in doubt after midway through the game. Or I guess it was. Most people probably started. I felt pretty good after the 2-0, but certainly at some point in the third period, it was clear that it was completely over. Alex says Grits 6 to 7 million if it's long term. That seems about what I would think, somewhere in that range. Mark, Timo 19 points in 23 games, and Brad, although quiet, has 22 points in 23 games. Yeah, Bratter gets assists. I think he has a couple. He definitely has several 2-assist games. He might have a couple 3-assist games. All right, I got to. I fell behind again. I don't want to be scolded by the chat folks, so let me skip ahead a little bit. Regurgitator, my next jersey is definitely a Grits jersey if he resigns. That certainly would be a good one. If he's here long term, it's a great jersey to have. Did I call it a goat head? No, Selected Boy did. Yeah, I was like, what? Those jerseys are classic. Dean Smith just got back to the game. That was so awesome. You were there too? Hey, Russo, when Jack comes back, Fitz will say getting him back is like getting a deadline acquisition and won't make a blockbuster. It's certainly possible. It certainly is possible, but I think we're going to at least see assuming the team continues to look pretty good, I do think we'll see a tweak of some kind. Now, I don't think it'll be the big name that many people are hoping, but I think you'll see something. You'll at least see a piece brought in of some kind. John Face says, if we make it to the finals at the point, it's either cup or bust. Yeah, well, obviously, but, just appearing in the finals would be phenomenal. Obviously, if you get there, you want to win it, but it's easier said than done. CLW is wearing my Luke shirt for games, then switched to Nico, and he's been doing great ever since. Wore it today and wearing it tomorrow, too. Too superstitious. Nice. Make sure you wear that tomorrow. Yeah, Jersey Roots says Toronto is valued at $4.3 billion. Yeah, welcome to the sports or NHL franchise values in 2025. Winning Powerball isn't getting you a hockey team anymore, unfortunately. Captain THC says Nemo will definitely be asking for the same Luke Hughes contract at least. If he keeps on playing like this, he has to start the season. Jungle Static, Ace, you're right with Nemo. You give them $9 million now, it'll age the way Jack's contract did. This is what I meant earlier, though, about Kovacevic. It was not a great move from Fitz. Sorry, need that space. I completely disagree. Kovacevic at $4 million is an absolute heist. If he, obviously, assuming he didn't get hurt, if he didn't get hurt and then they started negotiating with him when the news came out that the cap was going up, he certainly was going to get more than $4 million. Furthermore, Dougie's not here forever. And so when you look at the right side, with Nemo, you have Nemo, Pesci, Kovacevic. Like, you're pretty well set. Why would you not want Kovacevic? And who are you replacing him with? That's not going to cost substantially more than his $4 million cap hit. You have to realize Dougie is not here forever. And whether he's traded this season or in the offseason, your right side will still be set up when he's gone. Who are you getting that's better than Kovacevic for $4 million? You're not. He's going to be a great value defender. Devil Heaven, Ace, will we get Quinn this year? If I had to bet on it, I would say no. But, who knows? I don't think he gets dealt this year, but maybe he does. It seems like they're trying to extinguish the flames. And it could all be part of, posturing to get the best possible deal for him. But if I had to bet on it, I would probably say he doesn't get traded. But I think if the Canucks start tanking hard, it's just going to be louder and louder. And who knows? maybe they just say, we don't want this distraction anymore, because despite their efforts to try to, dead the noise, it's going to be there until he's dealt. Like, it's just never going to stop. What are they? They're 25 games are 10, 13, and 2. Oof. Yeah, that's not helping their case any. Let me see something else. Wild card. Oh boy. Yeah, they're 5 points out of a wild card. Yeah, it could get ugly quickly in Vancouver, honestly. If they continue to suck, who knows? Maybe the chatter just gets so overwhelmingly loud that they're like, we're done with this, and they just make the deal. I think that would be the wisest thing for them to do. I mean, there's no point in hanging on to them. The return is just going to shrink as time goes on. I mean, obviously, they still have the up to the deadline, obviously, but wow. David Chimes, MSNBC did an interview with Bettman on the value of hockey teams. Oh, I got to see that. Bettman thought the values were lowballed. Devils 11th most valuable, estimated at $3.45 billion. Crazy. Yeah. The dream is over, David. The Devils are worth way too much now to even dream of buying them with a Powerball win. Oh, you said 2.45. Okay. I thought 3 points. It sounded a little high. That's still insane. Completely insane. How I got her, Jeremy Proper, 170 watching, 77. Damn, you guys are stingy. Can I get a thumbs up? It takes a half a second. It costs you nothing. Hit the thumbs up for your boy and for the New Jersey Devils, currently riding a 3-game win streak, looking to make it 4 tomorrow. Oh, that should have been the third jersey. Oh man, I'm so far behind. Unbelievable. I try, guys. I'm trying to get to as many comments as I can, and then I ramble, and then I fall behind. Yeah, the NJ on the shoulders is so sick. I guess I'll pull it up again because it's such a beautiful. Oh, oh no, I took it down. Hold on. I had to pull it off here to show the Dilly photo. Let's look at that beautiful jersey one more time, huh? Oh, forget it. It's too far gone. That jersey is sick though. Nico is king. 1,000 games for Dilly on Monday, barring no injury. What an achievement! What an achievement for Dilly. Love that guy. 1,000th game coming up on Monday. What an achievement. Jason says Luke needs to work on the shot. Yeah, it's not great. It's not great, but he has great playmaking ability and great hockey sense most of the time. Hopefully the shot develops a little bit better. He has a pretty nice wrister. Damn, now I want buffalo wings. Who said that earlier about buffalo wings? Oh my God, I'm going to make poor decisions. I think I might need wings tonight. M Sharp Ace, what do you think of the USA jersey? I mean, it's pretty simplistic and clean. I do like it. I'll obviously be getting one or both colors. I have been dying for, and I know it's probably not likely, but I would like a fresher kind of new interpretation of the 1996 World Cup jersey. The USA 96 World Cup jerseys are just so classic for a classic team. For anyone that's a USA hockey fan, that 96 World Cup team is arguably the best American team ever assembled. I mean, the 1980 Miracle on Ice team won a gold medal, but that was amateurs and college guys. That 96 World Cup team that beat Canada in the final was a squad with some all-time legends on it. I was hoping they were going to kind of bring that design back at some point with like some new tweaks or twists, but I like the USA jerseys. They're just kind of simple and plain. It's fine. So many hats, only one head to wear them. Yeah, it's true. Regurgitator, have a great night, boys. Got to spend time with the missus. See you dudes tomorrow. Let's go Devils. What was that Nemo line for the Hattie? 1,001. Wow. Yeah, the East is super tight selected, boy. More of a dogfight than the West. Yeah. They showed a stat during the Blues game, and I think it was do I have that here? It was the the difference between, I think it was first place and last place. Is it this? Let me see. Yeah, so this was entering the other night, the Blues game, entering Thanksgiving Eve. I meant to show this courtesy of MSG here. The fewest points difference between first and last place in the Eastern Conference since 2013-2014. And you see this season, 25-26, again, this is as of a couple days ago, heading into Thanksgiving Eve. First place had 30 points. Last place had 21 for a differential of 9, meaning everyone is packed in between 9 points or less from first to last, which is crazy. And then you see the other seasons, 2018-19 was 12 points. And then you see all the way up to 23-24. It was a 17-point differential between first and last. So it just goes to show how tight the East really is this season and how it's going to be a dogfight. Yeah, M Sharp, step up on the likes. Yeah, thanks. What's going on? You guys are being stingy. Don't trade Nemo. I think many people are kind of on board with that. Robbie's bench toss. Quinn probably gets dealt June 2026 pre-draft if he gets moved at all before his contract expires. That could be a play. That could be a play. Wasted Youth Ace, being a Devils super fan. Did you get your tattoo yet? Got mine in the summer on my right calf. Got to support the team, man. Maybe eventually. I don't have any tattoos. Someone has asked that before. I don't have any. I've thought about in the past getting one with like some family members' initials or something kind of along those lines. I thought about a couple different Devils ones. I don't know. It's definitely possible. Nico King says, I think the Quinn to Flyers rumors are just Saravelli making up things because he's a Philly homer. Is he a Philly homer? David, first week of December, games against Stars, Vegas, and Bruins is going to show what this team is made of. Yeah, it's certainly an interesting stretch, right, against some top-level competition. Alex Russo, if Devils don't win the Cup, I would like to see McJesus get one. Poor dude. Yeah, I'm a McDavid guy. I mean, how can you not root for the guy? He's an incredible player. He wants to win badly, and he's come so close now. 2 years in a row going to the finals and losing to the Panthers, and then signed a team-friendly deal to stay in Edmonton. You gotta respect it. Theodore brought our 9-month-old daughter to her first game tonight. The baby is officially 1-0 as a Devs fan in person, and my wife is 3-0 with 2 blowout shutouts. We've got to get to more games. Well, congratulations, first of all, on the birth of your daughter, Theodore, and you certainly should get your whole family out to more games. It seems like you are a good luck charm for this New Jersey Devils club, and we appreciate you attending to help us get some more wins. Pro Bolt says, I want the Stars to win a cup if NJ doesn't make it. I always pick a team with a former Devil that I like, so it wouldn't be Dallas for me. I mean, it'd probably still be Edmonton. Uncle Rico. Would like to see Henrique get one. Nico is king. Timo, Nico have been hot these last few games. Love to see Timo playing physically because when he does, he's very hard to stop. Timo the Bull. Timo the Bull Meyer. Jay Snow, I know we're missing Pesci, but we're getting killed in possession time every night. I don't know why we struggle so much in our D zone. Yeah, there was a couple stretches where, again, like, you know, just shitty clearing attempts and failing to clear or not getting to a loose puck quickly enough or losing a battle where teams have like these stretches where you're like, are we on a penalty kill? Did I miss the start of the other team's power play? I think eventually it gets corrected. You know, it is unfortunate. I also think a lot of it with the possession time is probably because we have those quick transition bang bang goals, like where we don't have to hold on to the puck for too long, where they just kind of turn it up and score or generate a chance. But I would like to see this team obviously work on that plan B and C outside of the transition speedy game where they get in on a forecheck or cycle with, you know, dominant possession time in the ozone would be nice. David, 3 straight wins erases 3 straight losses. I don't know that it fully erases it, but it certainly makes it feel a lot better. I'm not going to lie, because of how the game was. Again, I said losing streaks are going to happen. There's peaks and valleys along the way of a season for any team, but the way they lost that Philly game to make it 3 in a row was excruciating. I was gutted. Like it was nearly as ugly as it gets, and I was like, this team needs to respond in a big way, because there are a ton of question marks for me right now personally surrounding this team after seeing that performance in Philly, which hopefully is the low point of the season and we never see another game like that for the rest of the season. But to come out and win 3 games in a row, 2 of them being these gutsy kind of tight games against Detroit and St. Louis, obviously, and then to cap off the 3rd win with a blowout on the road in Buffalo. Love to see it. I certainly feel much better than I did a few days ago. Mario, hey, sorry I was late. I had to help put up Christmas decorations. What a win. What a win indeed, Mario. A beautiful beatdown for the New Jersey Devils. Richard, size, speed, skill win playoff games and ultimately a Stanley Cup. Look at what type of teams win cups and how we got physically abused last year. Oh, you're preaching to the choir, Richard. You know me. I am Mr. Heavier, edgier, more violent. Would like to see this team get a little more scritty and bring some dogs in because playoffs are war, absolute war. And I would like to see 1 or 2 more guys that kind of have that juice for the playoffs. But hopefully the guys that are here already are going to be able to kind of elevate their game in that department because the playoffs, it is going to be necessary. It's not an option. Michael, Timo's an important piece. Guys that can play physically and are that skilled are rare. Looking back on the trade, we definitely made out with what we gave up for him. You know, good luck trying to convince some other people with that, but you don't have to sell me. I've been a fan of Timo since day one. I think he needs to be permanently installed on power play 1, no matter what. Obviously, he should be on power play 1 for the rest of his Devils career. There's 0 reason for him not to be. With his size, physicality, he can win battles. He can score in tight. He can roam in the circle and let his cannon blast go. I'm the president of the Timo fan club, guys. You're not going to have to convince me of anything about Timo. M Sharp, trying to figure out why I'm blocked out on ESPN Devils games in Connecticut. I think just by geographic proximity. And so you might be in the radius where they black it out. All this stuff is super annoying. They need to figure out how to just make the games easier for everyone to access. Unhinged, why do they play Lamico over Legari and LaChance? You'd have to ask Sheldon Keefe that question. I don't have the answer for you. Michaels, Ace, are you saying Glass is better center than Mercer? If Mercer goes back to wing, what line are you putting him on? Mercer is better on wing than at center, and Glass is a natural center. And so Mercer needs to go back to wing. He's going to play with Jack. Hopefully Jack and Grits. But Mercer needs to go back to wing, and we need to get another center, hopefully. Your friend's house is a mile away and not blocked out. That's super interesting. Jay Snow, Devils have to add more sandpaper. Completely agree. You will never hear me push back on that whatsoever. Mario says, it's about time they blew a team out and they didn't give me a heart attack as a teenager. Yeah. Blowout wins. The last 6 Devils wins before tonight were 1-goal wins. 1 goal. David Ace, did you see how when Meyer made that hit, their captain came right in to defend? Do you wish Nico did that on the same shift more often when someone hits one of the Devils? I mean, I want everybody on the team to be a little more aggressive in that department, not just Nico, but that's not really Nico's game. And I suppose, it's not Darlene's game either, but you have seen Nico take issue with certain things when he feels necessary, including one that I think it was something, I don't remember what the play was, but someone kind of went after him and he started, it was in the first period of was it the Panthers game where he just started uppercutting the guy? It was Rodriguez, I think. I mean, he situationally loses his cool, and I love to see it. As a whole, I think this team needs to rise to the occasion and just get a little nastier when it calls for it. And you're going to see it for sure in the playoffs. Michael, they'd have to call up Legari and LaChance, which cuts into the cap, probably why we see Lamico over them right now. Could be a cap situation thing, but I just think that they're comfortable with him for whatever reason. When they signed him in the summer, he was their plan for 4C. Like, they were like, this is our 4th line center. Selected boys, so the Maple Leafs are valued as much as the Dallas Cowboys. It is kind of crazy, right? Jason says, according to Pagnotta, he said the Devils are going to be on big names. I feel like they've said this every year for the past 3 years, though. I'll believe it when I see it. And again, I don't necessarily know that the Devils should be in on big names. If there's a guy that can help the team in a sensible deal, then they should be. But I'm definitely not clamoring for a big name for the sake of it, like many people are. I do think this team is pretty damn good when healthy, and that 3C is probably still going to be my number one want no matter what, because I do think if that is upgraded and Glass is pushed to 4C, that we could be really lethal. Dre White, Nemitz will be better than Jack Hughes. I mean, one's a defenseman, one's a forward. Pro Bolt says maybe Tage is available and wants out of Buffalo. Oh, man, I would love that, but I think it's pipe dreamy. SJ Kobe brings the heavier, edgier, more violent. Need him in the playoffs? Yeah, for sure. And hopefully he gets back up to speed quickly. Obviously, by the time he comes back, he wouldn't have played in a game for forever, right? 8 months, 9 months, maybe. Like, how is he going to respond? But hopefully he could get up to speed quickly and make this defense even better. Cody, I'll be attending Boston U versus Cornell to see Yegorov tomorrow at MSG. Hopefully the Devils win against the Flyers. Very nice. Jason says, give me Kiefer Sherwood. I totally would love him. Would love Sherwood. I tweeted about that when I saw the post that said they wanted a second rounder. It seems too good to be true, but Yo Holmes, Nico is the greatest Swiss jackknife for sure. Alex says Tage requests a trade is a reality along with Tuch and Dahlin. Man, I feel bad for Buffalo fans. Like, it's obviously not a super desirable city to play in general, and then the team is bad on top of it. It's a lot. That is a lot. Maria, what's going on? Hope there are Buffalo wings to the boys on the plane back. Very nice. Mara says, don't mention Buffalo wings. You're going to make me hungry again. I might have to go find some. Frank, 96 World Cup team was absolutely the best. What a squad. What a squad. Louis, Jake Allen's save percentage made a hell of a jump. What a win for Jake the Snake. Yeah, was it a 42 save shutout? A 42 save shutout will certainly help your save percentage for sure. Richard, 96 team. First time I ever went against Marty. I always wanted to see John LeClaire and the Devils. Size, speed, grit, and skill. No arguing. Greatest team ever assembled by USA. Man, they had so many guys. Unbelievable. Mark, Sherwood deadline ad. Who do you think? I would love Sherwood. I mean, there was a post from somebody that claims that Vancouver's looking for a second rounder. I mean, that's if that is in fact reality, that's one of the easiest trades to make, in my opinion. To get him for a second rounder, I don't think there's much to think about. That's why I think it's kind of BS. Because if that was the case, I think someone already would have gotten him. Or maybe he comes here with Quinn. Maybe they both come on the same private jet. They charter one jet for the both of them. They come here together. Jason says Cervali thinks the Devils have zero chance at making a cup run. Well, who cares what he thinks? Christopher Ace, what's up, man? Hope you and the family had a great Thanksgiving. Thank you, sir. It was a pretty good Thanksgiving with the family. I ate a ridiculous amount till my insides hurt. Been kind of recovering today. And Nico is king. As a Jets fan, I can understand the pain of Sabres fans. Yeah, it's been a rough go for them for a while. It's so unfortunate. Like I said, I really feel bad for them. It's and then there's constant rumors of them considering trading some of their top players or guys wanting out because it sucks there. I mean, it's a vicious cycle. Vicious cycle. Richard says, fan since 86. And I know it's not a lot of games, but I'm 68-38. Wow. At Devils games, including playoffs and finals, have 4 games marked with my boys coming up to get to 100 total. Very nice. That is a very impressive record, by the way. I wish I had kept better track. I have no way of knowing what my record is. One of my buddies has like detailed stats on like, the games he went to, who started in net, and who scored, and a bunch of detailed metrics. I've been to, definitely hundreds of games. And so I have no idea. I'd imagine just because the Devils were so damn good during the glory years that my record would be overwhelmingly good as well. But some of the rock years, I mean, now that I really think about it, like, it's crazy to think about, but the Devils played in the old arena for like 13 years during my fandom. So 94 to 07, I think 13 years. They've now played at the Rock for 18 years or whatever it is. Maybe with the strike at 7, whatever it is, 18 years, maybe 17 seasons. but they've now played at the Rock for a higher percentage of my fandom than they have at the old building, which is really crazy to think about. And some of those years were pretty brutal, so that would have hurt my overall record for sure. Some of those bad years. Dean Smith, revenge game tomorrow. Time to spank the Flyers. Would love to see it. Jungle Static, a Devs Avs rematch in the finals would be surreal. 25 years later, a rematch of the 2001 Cup Finals in 2026 would be absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I would freak out to see it. And obviously, it'd be a very difficult challenge for the Devils. The Avalanche are sick. Very good team. Vic says, nice win. Snake was awesome. Let's go Devils. Nico's King, wish they would do what some baseball teams have done with the TV deals. Flat fee with no blackouts, regardless of what channel the game's on. Yeah, that would make sense. That would certainly make sense. Unhinged, rematch, Stanley Cup Finals versus Avs would be epic. Must win, avenge 2001. Such a stacked team in 2001. Yeah, one of the best Devils teams of all time. That 2001 team was loaded, and unfortunately, they blew a 3-2 series lead. That one's going to haunt me forever. As many of you know, I was at Game 6 of the 0-1 Finals. Devils up 3-2 at Continental Airlines Arena. The Stanley Cup in the building with the chance to be back-to-back Cup champs, and the second year in a row with the chance to win a cup on home ice. They unfortunately lost Game 5 in the 2000 Cup Finals. Couldn't clinch on home ice, but then went out to Dallas in Game 6, and obviously Jason Arnott, I don't know if you could see him in the frame actually, but scores that goal in double overtime to win it in Game 6 for the Devils. But the back-to-back Cup champs was not to be. They lose Game 6 at home and then go out to Denver, lose Game 7, and the most painful series, in my opinion, in New Jersey Devils history. Jason says they definitely need to add. I don't think they're winning a cup as currently constructed. John, NJ Devils, is that the MB30 hat from Marty's golf outing? Yes. Yes, it is. Jersey Roots. Sherwood's a proper, heavier, edgier, more violent devil. Please, baby Jesus. Sherwood would be a great ad. When I saw that asking price, I was like, oof. I would really love to add that. Sherwood gets those dirty areas, no problem. Richard, my 3-year-old great nephew was having chocolate milk today. I haven't had one in at least 25 years. Is it wrong to have one at 62? Chocolate milk, Richard, is delicious at any age. I have not had a chocolate milk in quite some time. Definitely not 25 years. I think I ordered one at a diner like a few years ago. I saw someone else had one at a table nearby, and I was like, you know what? I want a chocolate milk. Chocolate milk is delicious. Alex says I'll still take Kovalchuk over Hall any day. Absolutely. But what an impressive season. From Hall in 17-18, winning the Hart Trophy as league MVP and dragging a very mediocre Devils team to the playoffs was a sight to see. Christopher, there's also zero chance of Frank Saravelli ever getting under 250. You guys are brutal. Jersey Roots, Covey was a god, missed that beast. Yeah, it was crazy. Jack McCabe says, Devils Cup final, Game 7 on the road somewhere out west. Are you in the building? 1,000%. So I will say, I've shared this before, but obviously I know and not everyone watches every second of every live. Obviously, it's not possible. So this might be the second time I'm telling the story. But after the 2003 Cup Finals, which was my senior year of high school, I made a promise to myself that if the Devils are playing in a game with the potential to win the Stanley Cup, regardless of where the game is, I will be at that game. And that is something I certainly will stick to for the rest of my days on this earth. If the New Jersey Devils are playing in a potential cup clinching game, whether it's home or whether it's somewhere out west, I will 1,000% be in the building to see it. I will not miss a New Jersey Devils Stanley Cup victory from here until my grave days, until I get lowered into the ground. I will not miss it. And so if the Devils ever win the cup again, I will be there to see it live, which is cool. But now they have to be in the position to do it. Jersey Root says chocolate milk and bourbon always hits the spot. Oh boy. Christopher, Dylan has to lay someone out tomorrow, regain some respect. Would love to see it. Would love to see Dilly chuck the fists. One of our heaviest, edgiest, most violent gentlemen with a big goal today. Love me some Dylan, man. What a guy. What a guy. Unhinged Devs fan says, I'm in California, so a Devils Stanley Cup final game out west. I'm going. I'll call in sick if I have to. Nice. Unhinged says he's going to hit Vegas. 12-17. Is anyone else going to that one? Maria says, Konechny needs to go down. Was at the game last Saturday. Need to exercise it from my system tomorrow. Hopefully the revenge game is there. Hopefully the revenge game is there and the team comes out and just pounds the Flyers. I would love to see another dominant performance. Listen, but as you guys know, I just want to see a win. 2 points is 2 points no matter how it comes. But I would like to see like a, even like a 3-0, 4-0, a 5-1. I would just like to see us thoroughly beat them. Would be nice. But it's not going to be easy. They got some skill guys too. Jason says, Devils showing interest in Stammer and Marsha, so please no. So I have a whole thing to talk about with this actually, because bear with me 1 second. I'm going to leave this graphic up here for a minute. Where is the folder? All right, someone brought this up before. Why is this? Software sucks, guys. Software is trash. All right, I'm going to leave this up for a minute. I'm running to the bathroom. I'll be back in a minute, but I want to talk about I have a long-winded kind of thing to say to what Snow has up here about Stammer and Marsha. So back in 1 minute. Enjoy this beautiful jersey. I'll be back in 1 minute to talk about this. And then I guess, I don't know, it's still kind of early. We'll see how I feel, but be right back. All right, so I got a lot to say on this. Hope you enjoyed that beautiful jersey. But on the Jay Snow saying no, please no. I'm not interested in Marsha, but I will say I am interested in Stammer. And before you guys kill me for it, his contract is bad. He is a shell of his former self. I will say it starts with, and I actually put follow me on X if you're not following me. I'm not going to put the graphic up there again, but find me on X and follow me. I tweeted in response to that rumor. Stammer gets paid $8 million, which is crazy. But if Palat would agree to go to Nashville, and if Nashville would retain some of the Stamkos salary, I certainly would consider it. Now, a lot of people are going to kill me for it, but hear me out. You're trading, one quote unquote bad contract for another, but Stammer, I do believe, would be revitalized by joining this team that hopefully is going to contend for a cup. And getting a guy like Stamkos, the stuff that he brings to the locker room and off the ice, the guy is a winner, a leader, first ballot Hall of Famer. Again, just like I was talking about with Quinn Hughes, you do not get and with no disrespect to Stammer, obviously Quinn Hughes is playing at a much higher level right now in his prime, very different, but you do not get the opportunity every day to add a first ballot Hall of Famer to your team. And so I do think Stamkos would be a much better player on the Devils, a team that is playing for something, hopefully a cup, and having the option to then either have Stammer as your 3C, which would be incredible, or potentially play on a line with Jack Hughes. I think that gives you a lot of options, and I do think he would bring a lot of leadership and kind of that it factor to the team that I still think they could use a little bit of. Now, we obviously have a fairly solid leadership group in place, but if you could add a guy like Stammer, and it makes sense. And again, I think it would have to include Polacco in the other way, obviously, and maybe some retention. I think that should be explored. I really do. I know people are going to disagree, but Stammer's a legend, and I would certainly take that chance, assuming Palat's going the other way, obviously. I think, when Stammer talks, people are going to listen. The clout that he has is not like many other guys in the league. There's probably only a handful of guys still playing in the league that are even remotely at his level in that way. There's not many of them left. And again, first ballot Hall of Famers, won everything. I think it should be explored if the deal makes sense. And again, retention probably, and Palat going the other way. I don't think it happens, but man, if Stammer came to the Devils, I certainly would geek out. I really would. I'm not even going to pretend that I wouldn't. I would. Alex says Stammer can stay put, especially with that contract and not signing with us originally. He went for the money in a tax-free state. I mean, it is what it is. He did lose some points in my book when that happened. For those of you that have been watching me for a while, leading up to that July 1st, a couple of years ago, was that July 1st of 2024, when the reports came out that the Devils were in on him, I lost my mind. Jason says, I agree. I don't want Stammer at all. Jack, excluding cup final games, best Devil wins of all time, worst losses of all time, top and bottom three. Excluding cup final games? Excluding cup final games, then you just immediately, by pecking order, excluding cup final games, you immediately go to conference finals. And so the three best Devils wins of all time, in no particular order, excluding cup finals, best Devils wins would be Game 7 on the road in Ottawa, huge. Grant Marshall to Jeff Friesen late to put the Devils in the cup finals, amazing. Game 7 in Philadelphia, again, on the road. Game 7, Devils were down 3-1. They win the next two, tied up at 3, go into Philly. Patrick Elias scores late to send the boys to the cup finals. Those two are easily Game 7 conference finals on the road. Those are easily the top two, however you spin it. It could be, you could go either way with that. But those two would be the top two. And then excluding cup finals, best Devils wins. Those are the top two. Game 7, conference finals on the road. And the third one, I'm trying to think. The third one, the third one's tricky. The third one, Game 6, Eastern Conference Finals against the Rangers in 2012 to knock them out and advance to the finals. That probably would be it, but I'm trying to think if there's any others. It could be that one, though. It could be the 2012 Eastern Conference Finals, Game 6 against the Rangers. To this very moment, one of the best moments for the Devils at the Rock. That's definitely up there. Eastern Conference Finals to get to the Cup. And then I would say that one's, that's probably the third one. I'm trying to think if anything comes back to mind. And then worst losses, not including cup finals, is clearly number one of the most worst losses. Number one is definitely Game 7 against the Rangers, 1994 Eastern Conference Finals, for sure. Mateau, the wraparound, that's easily the worst one ever. And I'm trying to think for worst losses. What else? I'd probably put Game 7 in 2009, Game 7 against the Canes up there when we melted down. We were just like 2 minutes away from advancing to the second round with it for a team that I thought had the potential to definitely go far. I really liked that 09 Devils team. And then they just gave up 2 goals to the Canes in the final minute and a half or whatever it was of Game 7 and melted down. That one's up there. And then other losses. A third loss is not jumping out to me. I guess I'd have to put in the regular season finale, 95-96 at Continental Airlines Arena. It may have still been Brendan Byrne then. I can't remember when the name changed. I think it was Byrne. The last game of the season was at home against the Senators. Devils needed to win to get in to the playoffs, and they lost. Lost against the Senators. That one's got to be in the top 3 losses because that eliminated them from the playoffs, and they did not get to defend the Stanley Cup that they had won the year before. That one was certainly painful. Where did you see this, Jack? Where did you see Devils' rumored interest in Sherwood? I would freak out. Did you see that from somewhere credible? Jungle Statics says Marcia, so obviously no, not sure what there is to say about that. Stammer would need heavy salary retention, probably involving a third team, but wouldn't be the worst thing, I guess, man. I would want Stammer. I would want him. But they, under the conditions that I talked about earlier. I'm not kicking Jack to the wing for him. I didn't even think about that. When I originally thought of it, I was assuming in my head that Stammer was going to play wing. Alex is finally something we disagree on, Ace, with Stammer. The guy's a legend, guys. There's stratospheres of players, and he's in the top. And I do think he would, really push this team in a positive way. You're probably right, Snow, but I'm just saying, we're talking, you guys like to talk about hypothetical nonsense, so I'm engaging in it. And I always usually preface it with, I don't think this is going to happen, or this is a pipe dream, or this is ridiculous. But because that report came out, I figured it was worth addressing for sure. But it would be very interesting. Jungle Static says, why would Pally put Nashville on his trade list? But I agree we should be riding ourselves. His contract, even with that, Stamkos would need 50% retention minimum, and even then, I don't know. 50% would be nice, but let's think about this. Obviously, there'd be other pieces involved if it was a bigger deal. And I listen, I would love to see Stammer and O'Reilly come here in a package deal. But even if they retained $2 million on Stammer, but Palat was included. And then obviously there's other pieces for it to make sense for Nashville, but in some world where this was a reality, and again, I don't think it is, so, don't kill me for it. But even if they only retained $2 million and Palat was going there, the contracts would be a wash. So $2 million retained on Stammer, $6 million, Palat's making $6 million. Obviously there's an extra year or two of Stammer, but in the end, it's still $6 million. And so who would not rather have Stammer at $6 million than Palat? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, and obviously there'd be other pieces. Richard said, you give any old guy a sniff of another cup and they might get younger mighty quick. I think you've just seen, there's been so many cases league-wide of guys that people said were washed or they're done, blah, 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 and then they get a change of scenery, and it's like, not that they become a brand new player, but you see them play much better than they did where they were previously. I certainly think that would happen with a guy like Stammer if he was brought to the Devils. A young, exciting team looking to push for a cup. Larry says, well, the only reason Palat would agree to go to Nashville would be to play again with Stammer. Maybe, maybe not. I mean, obviously it seems like a stretch, but there is the whole no state income tax thing that could come into play. Obviously, Pally would get more money in this scenario because he's not paying state income tax, but I don't know if that would be enough. I mean, if I was Palat, I'd be like, hell no, I'm staying here, but you never know. Jason says, Nashville wants to get younger. There's no way Trotz is taking older players. You would think not, but if there's prospects and or picks involved, I do think there is a path where you could potentially force his hand. Jersey Roots says, Stammer's too old, not worth the headaches. Richard says, 94 rags. Yeah, I said that one. Loss against Ottawa in 96. Yeah, that was brutal. to eliminate us from the playoffs. It was terrible. Jason says, you want to put someone with Jack, they got to be willing to go to the hard areas. I still think they could be electric together. It says, last year's collapse is the worst game I've ever watched in my young life in Game 5. Yeah, it was brutal. Completely brutal. Richard says, my favorite and wasn't at home, Arnott and OT from Eliash. Love the crowd stun and us going insane. Yeah. Yeah, Louis, that I did say that one. I'm just obviously behind in the comments, so I'm just seeing that now. The 2009 Carolina was brutal. I was at the game, and I just sat in the arena, stunned in my seat as everyone filed out. It was certainly a dark, dark night at the Rock, and it was painful. It really was. And I thought that team had such promise. I really thought that team was capable of going on a run, and it all ended there in a collapse. Yeah, that collapse was brutal. SJ says, imagine Stammer with Jack and Brat Magic. You don't have to sell me. I think it would be. Again, I think this is all kind of, hypothetical nonsense or kind of not based in reality. But if we're going to play the game, I do think Stammer with Jack and Brat could be magical, or, Stammer with anyone in Jack. I mean, there's so many options. If somehow we got Stammer, the possibilities are endless. They really are. And again, maybe you put him at 3C. Maybe he does both depending on the game. Maybe he's slotted as a regular 3C, and then occasionally we see him bump up into one of the top two lines to kind of give us that offensive overload. Nice to have options, and to be able to do it with a guy like that certainly would be amazing. Otto is our nemesis. Richard, game 495 was off the charts. Paul Coffey said before the game, when is an animal most dangerous? When they're wounded and we euthanize them. Jason says, I'd rather Nazem Kadri. He's a dog and can still score. Yeah, I like him too. Contract and age a little worrisome, but that might be a risk worth taking if it comes down to it. I can't see that. I don't think the Devils will get him either, but who knows? His name seems to be coming up a lot, but I think it's all just kind of speculation stuff out there. John Fay says he has 2 cups, but he's also getting up there in age. I mean, he ain't no Crosby, but he's not himself since going to Nashville. Robbie's bench toss. You're trading 1 or 2 more years of plot for 6, 7 more years of a declining Stammer. Where are you coming up with this? That's a long time for that money to be a potential anchor if things go south. I think he only has 1 more year, maybe 2 more years left. And where are you getting 6 or 7 years? That's obviously insane. I wouldn't do that. Yeah, he's in year 2 of a 4-year deal. So it's this year and 2 more years. He's 35. This year and 2 more years. That's a win now move. That's getting a winner for a cup window that is now. Right now. 2 more years after this. I don't know where you came up with the 6, 7. Richard, Eastern Conference final favorite when Stevens scrambled Lindros. I was holding my 16-month-old and spilled Foster's all over him after that hit and told my Philly buddy the series is over. What an amazing moment. Scotty flattening Lindros. Top tier stuff. Top tier stuff. Unhinged Devs fan, Toronto, we had some battles with, and Domi elbowed Niedermayer, and Stevens went nuts from the penalty box. Yeah, that one was crazy. Again, why would Plot go to Nashville? It's a non-starter. It's not a non-starter. We will have to pay handsomely to get out of that contract. A second is the minimum and probably not enough. If it was in a bigger deal, I think there's a way to make it happen. If there's a will, there's a way. Again, this is just speculation type stuff. But, there's definitely picks or prospects. There is a path to make it happen, especially if you're trying to get O'Reilly as well. Alex, sitting in the arena in 09, and I'm sitting in my buddy Mike's room in 09. It was some shit out of an Eminem Stan song. Mario, that was the one time in my time as a Devils fan where I sat there for hours and looked possessed because of how mad, sad, and shocked I was. Yeah, that was a brutal. I really thought the boys were bringing it back to the Rock, looking to, in Game 6, looking to win and force a Game 7. It would have been really nice. But, you know, it wasn't in the cards, and it was an epic meltdown. Nico, close to almost 200 goals. Nice. Stammer's older than Kadri. Yeah, I know, but Stammer only has 2 years after this one. Kadri has like, he has 3 years after this one. They're the same. Oh, I mean, maybe they're both 35. I guess you're saying that Stammer's older, but yeah, they're basically the same age. Oh yeah, Mario going nuts with the 6-7. Yeah, I still don't fully understand what this stuff is. The kids running around. Anson, I'll take Yager back. The ageless wonder, Jaromir Yager. Jason, we would still relive our successful, especially championship seasons, especially when we, with our defensive depth, think of our players that led us to the 2003 Stanley Cup. Danico and Stevens, legends. David says, thinking about Eric Stahl makes me sick. Yeah. That's a rough season. I really think that 08, 09. Well, I mean, did they win the division that year? I think they may have. Let me see. The 2008, 2009 Devils, man. They did. They won the Atlantic Division, 106 points, 51 wins, 51, 27, and 4, 106 points, first in the Atlantic. My God. And they melted down. I really thought that team had a chance to go on a run. I really, really did. And it was brutal. Dakota says society's cooked. Oh yeah, there's so many reasons why I agree with that too. But Richard Ace, remember when Pepe took the shot at the blue line and blew it past Hextall in the playoffs just before the period was about to end? Yeah, huge goal for Claude Lemieux on the road in Philly, en route to winning the Conn Smythe as the most valuable player of the playoffs. I mean, what a run that was for the Devils and for Claude Lemieux. I mean, the Crashers, crazy. The Hextall chants were great at the old arena. Hextall. What a time to be alive. Core childhood memories. James, as much as Stammer would command respect because of his legacy, is also all about the money. He went to the highest bidder. He did. But I'm also willing to forgive that. If there's a deal that makes sense available to bring him here and help push this team to a Stanley Cup, I certainly would forgive. Just the name Ace, I'm going to my first game at the Rock Wednesday. What time do the doors typically open? 5:30 for a 7 o'clock game. Let's go Devils. The wife surprised me with tickets for our 10-year anniversary, among other things. Can't wait. That's amazing, man. Did you ever go to a game at the old arena and you haven't been to the Rock? Welcome. Let me just double check. It should be a 7 o'clock game. Most of them are. Why is my computer doing this? Yeah, it's a 7 o'clock game, so doors open at 5:30. We were so good in 08-09. Mario says, my dad's been a fan since 83, and he says that was definitely one of the worst losses he watched last year. One of the worst he's ever seen. I mean, in an elimination game, to blow a 3-0 lead, it obviously has to rank fairly high. I mean, that's just, man, after they were up 3-0, I really thought we were going back to the Rock. I was getting super pumped for game 6. I was like, all right, they're going to make a go of this thing. Coming home for game 6, hopefully win and force a 7 where anything could happen. But the Canes, a resilient group, unrattled, down 3-0. Richard, Hextall and 1940 were great chants until those bastards in Minto beat us. I was at the game, was not wearing Devil's garb, but they knew I was a fan when I just sat there and did zip. Robbie, Carolina played Boston next round, I think, so possibly them. It was still 1-8 format. M. Sharp, that must have pissed Hextall off. He was a firecracker waiting to blow. Oh, he definitely didn't like it. It was so great, too. The whole arena in unison would do it. Yes, no, I showed that earlier. The deserve to win a meter When I ran it, it was at 21%. I guess it could change over time. When I pulled it right after the game, it had 21% to 79. David says, I missed the 1-8 format. I do too. I think there's only one person ever who I've heard does not like the 1-8 format better than what we currently have. I believe it was David Chimes. And he gave his rationale, which I could respect. I fully disagree with it. I like 1-8 by far better. And every fan poll that I've ever seen posted anywhere where people, pose the question, do you like the old format better or the new format? The polls are always overwhelmingly in favor of the old format. So much so that I think the last one I saw was like 95% of people preferred the 1-8 versus the current format. But, eventually I think they'll eventually kind of fix it. Maybe. Jason, do we ever finish on the right side of the meter? We do. We've won a lot of games where we were on the wrong side of it, but that's why it's just a little meter for fun. We were, well, I guess I could put that up too because you mentioned it. We were on the right side of the meter. The St. Louis game. We were 66.1% deserved to win. Isn't it crazy though? You look at, obviously you take these things with a grain of salt. It's just kind of another lens to analyze a game when you look at this. But, we won. We won a 1-goal game when we were 66% and an overtime winner, mind you, when we were 66.1% chance to win, according to this, and we win in overtime versus a easily could have lost that game. And then we see the deserve to win a meter from today where we are overwhelmingly not favored to win the game. And it's not like we won a close one. We won 5-0. I wish there was another way to way to tweak this to put in like what would be the percent of like the Devils having this game with all the stats they have and winning 5-0. It would be like a millionth of a percent or something. Alex says Hextall was the heavier, edgier, more violent version for goalies. Yeah, he did not shy away from the rough stuff. Would come out of his net and fight. David says the winometer was as broke as the refs tonight. Sorry, Lindy. Just the name. Never made it to Continental Airlines Arena or Brendan Byrne, but have seen the GOAT MB30 in Tampa Bay twice, in Carolina, my home, twice. We won 3 of 4. Hopefully 4 or 5 next week. Thanks for your integrity and hard work, brother. Thanks for watching, my guy. And hopefully you see... Oh, so this is the first time you're ever seeing a Devils home game, period. Hopefully the boys treat you to a monstrous win. A monstrous win at the Rock, and hopefully that makes... let's see. We're at 3 in a row now, so we have the Flyers. Could be 4. Columbus could be 5. Hopefully you see a win, and that would make it hopefully a 6-game winning streak. Would be absolutely phenomenal. Jason, Jake Allen, thank you. What happened to under 20 shots a game from last year? This Brand Shaw guy. Richard, Ace, I think you like this guy and would back me on this, but love me some Brent Burns, who still flattens people, has a hell of a shot and unfortunately hurt Pesci with that shot. Yeah, but what are you trying to do with him? He's ancient. He's 40. Listen, if we weren't set on defense, I'd be like for a playoff run or two, maybe. But I think the ship sailed on him, and our defense is fairly set, so I wouldn't have any interest in him. But I could understand the nostalgia-ish want. Hey, Russo, I love Keefe's after the game locker room speeches on Devils Twitter. I haven't seen it yet, but the clips are usually pretty damn good. I did not see this one yet. Usually when I get off of here, I go and do, obviously I watch the post game, which is why I do the post game. I have to watch the regular post game on MSG. And then afterwards I go on the deep dive and watch all the other stuff. The other player interviews that were from the locker room that were not shown on television. The Keefe speech. The Keefe speeches are great. Not Tasha, spending time with family, but just wanted to pop in and say sweet win, and I got instant PTSD when Paul Cotter went into the boards like that. Yeah, I think we all did. He crashed in there pretty hard. Dakota, have you seen the fight where Marcus Foligno tried to Superman punch Dylan? I do not think I've seen that. Natasha, also heavier, edgier, more violent, dropping the gloves in back-to-back games and back-to-back wins. Very true. This team responds when they're engaged physically. Nice scrap from Nace. How many expected goals do the Sabres have tonight? I have no idea. Richard, nobody nastier than Billy Smith. He invented the Achilles chop. Referring to Billy Smith, the very feisty New York Islanders goaltender from back in the day. I think it's because they had double the high danger chances than us plus a lot of shots. Yeah, that's how the meter gets turned in your favor. Louis, I think he's just saying he's a player he likes, not necessarily he wants him on the Devils. Oh, okay. No, yeah, he's a throwback warrior. You gotta like Burns. Yeah, for sure. Ancient, just like the guy still in how he plays, even though, yeah, for sure. Another one that's kind of the last of the Mohicans. B Doggy Dog says Siegs, Dougie, Casey, Lenny, 3 firsts and a second. Oh my God. For Quinn and Cheadle. 3 firsts? Oof. Siegs and Dougie. Casey, that's an interesting one. I think that would pretty much split. I'm pretty sure the people would be very split down the middle on that. Jason, now having another legit center should also help the defensive play. Mercer's just not a center, and he's having such a good year on the wing. I completely agree. It should be a priority to get him back on the wing. I mean, he could fill in, but the fill-in is, for him to be there until Jack gets back, I think would be not brutal, but it would kind of suck for him, and I think it would hurt the team a little bit. Like, let's get him back on wing and get in another serviceable center. Richard, being summoned to play Mario Kart with my nephews. Have a great night, folks, and Timo with the trick tomorrow. Would love to see it, man. Have a good night, Richard. James, I have fond memories of the 2012 playoff run. I was going to college in New York City. It was game 4. I was at a bar in Port Authority. I think that's Port Authority. I was the only Devils fan in there. After goal 2, the bar tender told me to Port Authority bus terminal, David. Port Authority bus terminal, yeah. Buffalo expected goals for 3.41. Devils 1.74. Wow. I mean, in a nutshell, and I've said before, I do think analytics have their place and can be useful situationally speaking. I do think the league and a lot of people have gotten way too reliant on them over time. And I just think, a lot of it is kind of gotten carried away with. But that just goes to show you, right? So Buffalo had expected goals for of 3.41 and they got 0. And the Devils expected goals for is 1.74 and they got 5. So that just goes to show you what are we, obviously it's not going to be completely accurate all the time, but that just goes to show that this stat, again, while it has some usage, it also has some flaws as well because it was very off tonight in what actually went in the net. SJ, so close in 2012, it hurts. Game 1 was so winnable. Yeah, if they just won one of those first 2 at home, I think the whole series would have been different, but they didn't. The Kings were a wagon and they won the damn cup. Man, that one just sucked too. It'll never sting as much as 2001, but that one stings too. Ted, Ace Markstrom needs to bring his A game against the Flyers on Saturday. Yeah, he needs to bring his A game every night. And hopefully he comes out, does not let up the first shot, doesn't let the first shot get past him, settles in and gives us another great game of goaltending and extends his personal streak to 3 and the team's to 4. Would love it. Mario, I've gotten my hopes up every year. I always think they have potential to go far. I always get disappointed. Man, you're way too young to be talking like this, Mario. Sit down. Well, a lot of us we've been bleeding out here for years. Yes, we did see the glory years, but we've been down for a while, and it's been a long stretch. We need to get back to dominance. Troy, was it shown on the broadcast Luke went down for a good 20 seconds and was hurting to get up? Was that when he blocked the shot with his foot? I think you're talking about the block shot. Jason, so you think under Keefe we sit back too much with a lead? I don't think so. But I mean, there is stretches of games where you're like, what the hell happened? I don't necessarily know if that's, a byproduct of Keefe or a byproduct of the team just being somewhat inconsistent within games. John Fay, we should have won the 2012 Cup. The refs, yeah, that Bernier call was brutal. Sometimes I feel like we take our foot off the gas completely. A little bit. SJ, Devils have trouble versus the forecheck. It's their kryptonite. We've seen that. Obviously, the Canes, the most glaring example of it. And hopefully when we play them again, I think at the Rock in January, hopefully we figure it out. Select a boy. I'm going to head out. Glad we got that much needed win to stay in first. Let's go Devils. Take care. Ted, other people mentioned this. These were giveaway items at an event and were not made for sale. Jason, I think the high dangers are important because you're giving up or generating from the most important part of the ice, but expected goals. Expected goals is also like who's shooting the puck. Yeah, I don't think, from my understanding of it, the expected metrics do not take into account who is shooting the puck. I think it's just like an average or whatever they use of like every shot taken from that area by anyone. And so obviously you would expect, you know, a goal scorer from a certain spot on the ice to score at a much higher rate than a fourth line guy. And so I guess it averages it all out, but I just think it's a wonky, again, I'll take it as some sort of, you know, metric or number to look at, but I think the way some people, you know, praise these types of things, I just think it's not for me to the level that some of these people do. SJ, I think Devils come back. If not for the BS Bernier penalty, they scored like 3 goals in that power play. Yeah, it ended the game and gave the Kings the cup. The game was over before it started. It was early in the game. He gets hit for that, and it's over. It was brutal. Completely brutal. And that's another one where had we found a way to win that, game, coming home for game 7, oh my God. I can't see the Devils in any fashion losing that game 7 on home ice. I just can't see it under any circumstance. Returning home after that beautiful game 5 win they had. Man. James says, I've never been to a playoff game. I'm hoping to make one this season. Oh man, you're missing out. You are missing out. There's nothing like live playoff hockey. It's just a different, it's a different level. It's a different level of atmosphere and everything about it. Dakota says, I hope the Sabres continue to suck tomorrow. In reality, we should have 4 cups, not 3. Are you referring to 2001? All right, folks, that's it. I got some stuff to do. Our beloved New Jersey Devils enjoyed their Thanksgiving. And then they went to Buffalo and absolutely battered the Buffalo Sabres by a score of 5-0. Jake the Snake Allen with a 42 save shutout. The Devils have now won 3 games in a row. You'd love to see it. Returning home to the Rock to host the Flyers tomorrow night, and what I believe is Hockey Fights Cancer night. I'm pretty sure it's Hockey Fights Cancer night, actually. I have to double check on that. But looking to make it 4 in a row. Would love to see it happen. Markey will be in net. Hopefully the boys come out and they look for some revenge after that absolute domination the Flyers dished on us last week. Got to get some payback. But I will see you all tomorrow. Hopefully we are enjoying victory drinks once again. Hit the thumbs up on the way out. Tons of stuff in the works as always. Appreciate the continued support. That's it. I'm fired up. The positive thing about this is I'm getting off of this at a much earlier time of night than typical. Get some stuff done. Thank you all for watching. I love you all. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that jazz. Until next time, friends, let's go Devils.